Chapter 14. When Chu Xiang and Xiao Han arrived at the Qin family's villa, most of the guests had already arrived. In the Qin family's banquet hall, the guests stood in groups of twos and threes and chatted. Everyone had the perfect smile on their faces. The Yi family had arrived earlier than them. Since Yi Chen had entered the company, they brought him along this time. He even brought a female companion with him. Sun Jia held Yi Jinhong's arm and walked in front. Yi Chen and his female companion followed behind. His female companion was wearing a pure white gown. She had a princess-styled black curly hair and a broken diamond hair clip in her hair. She looked like an innocent princess. The Qin family welcomed them and stood not far from the door to exchange greetings. Someone saw Yi Chen's female companion and asked curiously, "Is that Chu Xiang? Why did I hear that their families broke off the engagement?" "I don't think that's Chu Xiang. I don't remember Chu Xiang looking like this. But I haven't seen the daughter of the Chu family in a long time. I can't remember clearly either. Could it really be Chu Xiang?" A daughter from the same school as Chu Xiang took a few glances and sneered. "How could that be Chu Xiang? She's clearly a combination of Chu Xiang and that nanny." She had a straightforward personality, and her family was not inferior to the Yi family. She was not afraid of offending people. She took out her phone and opened the campus post to show it to them. Chu Xiang's aura is getting stronger and stronger recently, but this one by Xuewei is Yi Chen's nanny's daughter. She looks like a gentle white lotus. Then what's Yi Chen doing? His female companion looks like Chu Xiang and dresses like a white lotus. Does he mean that he likes both of them? I think there's something wrong with his brain. Don't talk about him anymore. He's talking about trash in our school. Chu Xiang despises him so much that she doesn't even look at him. Don't. We don't know about these things. We're quite interested. And Lan, you have more. A few of the older sisters gathered around in Lan. They were all in their teens and 20s, and were very interested in this gossip. At this moment, two more people came in through the door. And Lan looked up and immediately smiled. The real deal is here. Quick, look, this is the difference between the real thing and the fake. She's like a queen. Yi Chen's dog eyes will definitely be fooled. Chu Xiang held Xiao Han's arm and walked in. The first thing the guests saw was Chu Xiang, and then they realized that the person next to her was Xiao Han. This was too inconceivable. There was actually someone who could stand shoulder to shoulder with Xiao Han, and yet still be able to surpass him. She didn't look like Xiao Han's female companion at all. Everyone couldn't take their eyes off her. Chu Xiang's dressing today was a big change compared to the past. Many people who couldn't recognize Chu Xiang had already started to ask the people around them, who was this outstanding girl? Chu Xiang was wearing a sleeveless V-neck mermaid gown. It was black and studded with fine diamonds. Her wine-red hair was also dyed black with disposable hair dye. It was straight and draped over her shoulders. Her hair hung behind her ears, revealing her bright and elegant facial features, and the dazzling black diamond earrings on her earlobes. She gave off a clean and neat feeling, which was completely different from the princess in the castle. Yi Chen's expression changed the moment he saw her. He didn't expect Chu Xiang to come. His first thought was to hide his female companion next to him, so that Chu Xiang wouldn't see her. The next second, he remembered that Chu Xiang was no longer his fiancée. He didn't need to consider Chu Xiang's feelings. This kind of habit formed over the years was simply inexplicable. He was also very uncomfortable with Chu Xiang's change in style. He liked gentle girls, and Chu Xiang was gradually drifting away from the girl in his memory. The Qin family and Yi Jinhong apologized and greeted Chu Xiang and Xiao Han with a smile. He also didn't recognize Chu Xiang. He first greeted Xiao Han, then looked at Chu Xiang and asked in confusion, "President Xiao, this is..." Xiao Han introduced her to him. "This is the daughter of Chairman Chu and Chairman Fang of the Dongfang Group, Sister Chu Xiang." Chu Xiang smiled and said, "President Chen, because my mother isn't feeling well today, she can't attend the banquet. I'm here on behalf of my parents. Please forgive me if I'm rude." "So it's Sister Chu. Sister Chu is too polite. Chairman Fang's health is important. Please come in. My father is chatting with a few uncles inside. You two can meet him together." President Chen's attitude was slightly lower than theirs. He knew that the Chen family was already going downhill, so he didn't put on airs at all. After they walked a few steps, a new guest arrived. President Chen apologized and invited them to go in by themselves. He then went to welcome the new guest. Xiao Han lowered his head slightly and whispered to Chu Xiang. President Chen is old Chen's third son. He's tactful and very good at making connections. However, he has a good character and never hits people when they're down. He's a person you can make friends with. Chu Xiang tilted her head and smiled at him. Is this the benefit of being a beauty? President Xiao wasn't so enthusiastic before. The two of them were very close, and their breaths mingled for a moment. Xiao Han turned his head and looked forward. He said calmly, I promised Chairman Fang that I would take care of you. Chu Xiang nodded. So that's how it is. Xiao Han subconsciously explained. Of course, it's also because I admire Sister Chu very much. Chu Xiang smiled. I also admire President Xiao very much. The two of them walked into the crowd. Without a chance to talk, they took out gifts together and gave them to Old Chen. Xiao Han introduced Chu Xiang again and helped her get to know Old Chen and a few other famous people in the business world. When they saw Xiao Han's actions, they had a better understanding of the cooperation between the Xiao Corporation and the Dongfang Group. The two families must have cooperated very smoothly and closely, and they got along very well. Otherwise, Xiao Han, who had always been cold, wouldn't support the daughter of the Chu family like this. Looking at the two of them, who looked like a golden couple, many people had some vague guesses about their relationship. The Yi family came one step behind them and also wished Old Chen a happy birthday. Sun Jie stepped forward and held Chu Xiang's hand. She smiled kindly and said, Xiang, you've become a busy person recently. You don't even have time to accompany Auntie to go shopping. I finally get to see you today. Chu Xiang took a glass of champagne from the waiter and took her hand out of Sun Jie's hand. She smiled distantly and said, Mrs. Yi, long time no see. The words Mrs. Yi instantly distanced them. Those who knew that the two families had broken off were all paying attention to them. At a glance, they understood Chu Xiang's attitude. It also made the Yi family seem very shameless. Yi Chen cheated on them, and they still had the nerve to approach him as if nothing had happened. Ordinary people really couldn't do that. When they saw Yi Chen's female companion, many people muttered in their hearts. What was the meaning of this? Wasn't it disgusting to get a female companion who looked like Chu Xiang to come over? Chu Xiang and Xiao Han chatted with Old Chen for a while. The two of them walked to the side, and people who wanted to cooperate with the two families came forward to greet them. Xiao Han introduced Chu Xiang to many people, but Chu Xiang ignored Yi Chen from beginning to end, as if he was just a vassal of the Yi family. Yi Chen himself felt this even more strongly. When he got closer, he saw that the black diamond earrings on Chu Xiang's earlobes and the black diamond cuffs on Xiao Han's earlobes were a couple. He also saw that the two of them occasionally talked so close to each other. Chu Xiang smiled happily at Xiao Han. Although Xiao Han didn't smile, his expression was obviously much gentler than when he faced others. He felt uncomfortable, as if his heart was blocked by wet cotton. He looked at them from afar and drank glass after glass. Chu Xiang, as the heir of the Dongfang Group, and Xiao Han, as the head of the Xiao family, had many people greeting them. Only he, who was the heir of the Yi family, was ignored. The people who occasionally came to greet him were some rich second-generation heirs who hung out with him. Yi Chen saw Chu Xiang walk to the bathroom alone. He finished the wine in his glass and followed her. He didn't even hear his female companion calling him. He was already a little drunk. He leaned against the wall outside the bathroom and waited. When he saw Chu Xiang come out, he reached out to stop her. Chu Xiang, are you with Xiao Han? Chu Xiang narrowed her eyes and said coldly, Who gave you the courage to harass me again and again? Yi Chen reached out to pull her. I saw it. The two of you are very close. Others also saw you go to the restaurant with him several times. You suddenly broke off the engagement because you like him, right? You're the one who fell in love with someone else. What right do you have to accuse me of cheating? What right do you have to call me trash in school? Chu Xiang grabbed his outstretched fingers and twisted them upwards. Yi Chen immediately bent down and widened his eyes in pain. Let go. Let go. Chu Xiang threw him to the ground and raised her foot to step on his chest. The thin heel of her shoe was aimed at his heart. she said in a low and dangerous voice. I warned you that that was the last time. Since you don't want to live, I'll fulfill your wish. Chu Xiang's eyes flashed with real killing intent. Yichen was shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. He couldn't make a sound and only felt a chill down his spine. Xiaohan walked out from the corner. Chu Xiang calmly withdrew her foot and straightened her skirt. She said to Yichen expressionlessly, I want the Yi family's project. From now on, all the projects of the Yi family will belong to the Dongfang group. Chu Xiang walked around Yichen to Xiaohan. She smiled and returned to her harmless appearance. President Xiao, are you here to see me? Xiaohan glanced at Yichen and bent his arm for her to hold. He walked as he said, You haven't been back for a long time. I came to see you. Chu Xiang smiled and looked at him. President Zhao's concern is really awkward. You can say that you were worried about me when you saw that scum disappeared. Xiaohan thought of Chu Xiang's dark goddess appearance and couldn't help but smile. It seems that my worry is unnecessary. You can solve it yourself. Are you really going to steal the Yi family's project? Of course. I didn't want to pay attention to them. After all, I have a lot of things to do and don't want to waste time on them. But they don't know what's good for them and insist on making trouble for me. Then I'll deal with them first. Chu Xiang said indifferently as if she was angry with them. The confidence in her voice showed that she didn't consider that she couldn't destroy the Yi family. Xiaohan leaned close to her and whispered, I just received insider news. Once the documents are released, the Yi family's bid will become an important project and the profits will be very high. Chu Xiang winked playfully. Then let's rob them together and split the profits. Xiaohan looked at her from a close distance and his eyes lit up. He smiled and said, Okay, let's work together. Yichen lay on the ground and watched their backs disappear. He clutched his heart and couldn't get rid of the fear for a long time. He didn't understand what he was afraid of, but at that moment, he really felt that Chu Xiang was going to pierce his heart with her high heels. Chu Xiang didn't love him. He had never understood so clearly that Chu Xiang really didn't love him. After the extreme fear, there was a huge sense of loss. Yichen's heart was empty and desperately needed something to fill it up. His female companion came over and exclaimed when she saw him in such a sorry state. She hurried forward to help him. Young Master Yi, what happened to you? Yichen stared at her face for a long time and stood up with her help. He held her soft hand tightly. I should be like you. Chapter 15. Yichen woke up in the hotel the next day. He woke up from his hangover as soon as he saw the woman beside him. All the memories from the previous night came back to him. He no longer felt as scared as he did at that time. Now that he thought about it, he felt that it was because he was drunk and his mind was not clear. The woman on the bed also woke up. Yichen frowned and pushed her away. You can leave now. I'll talk to young Master Zhang later and give you the female lead role. Thank you, young Master Yi, the woman replied happily. She quickly put on her clothes and left. Yichen stood under the showerhead and rinsed himself with cold water. His mind was in a mess. When he first fell in love with Bai Xuewei, he struggled for a long time. But last night, when he was with this woman, he did not feel sorry for Bai Xuewei. Yichen recalled Chu Xiang's stunning appearance at the banquet. Her domineering aura was like a flower bud that had found the most suitable soil. It bloomed to its heart's content and bloomed brilliantly, making people unable to take their eyes off her. He thought he liked Bai Xuewei's gentle personality. In the end, he realized that Bai Xuewei was as tasteless as water when compared to Chu Xiang. He thought he wanted Chu Xiang to be gentle like water. In the end, after this night, he realized that the obedient Chu Xiang did not have a soul at all. Only the real Chu Xiang could attract everyone's attention and show off her dazzling charm. He felt sad when Chu Xiang ignored him. He felt jealous when Chu Xiang smiled at Xiaohan Xiao. Yichen was shocked to realize that he had subconsciously regarded Chu Xiang as his wife. It had never changed. He took a wrong path. It was not until Chu Xiang left that he realized that the person he really loved was Chu Xiang. Yichen wiped his face and punched the wall in pain. His phone rang relentlessly for a few minutes. Yichen went out to pick up his phone in frustration. When he saw that it was his mother, he suppressed his anger and said, Mom, What's the matter? Sun Jie said angrily. You're asking me what's the matter? Or have you been fooling around? I told you to coax Chu Xiang more, but you brought a celebrity away. Are you heartless? All the good words I put in for you were in vain. Are you trying to piss me off on purpose? Let me tell you, don't mess with me. I will never acknowledge that nanny. Yi Chen took a deep breath and lay down on the bed. He said sadly, Mom, it's my fault. The person I like is Chu Xiang. But Chu Xiang would not turn back. She was with Xiaohan. I'm very annoyed. Stop bothering me. Sun Jie was amused as soon as she heard it. Can your relationship with Chu Xiang be compared to others? You should immediately break up with whatever nanny or celebrity and coax Chu Xiang properly. As long as you pester Chu Xiang more and use the trick of injuring yourself to gain her confidence, she will definitely turn back. Sun Jie said a lot more. Yi Chen listened to her and built up his confidence bit by bit through her nagging. He was someone who would do whatever he set his mind to, regardless of what others thought of him. Just like how he insisted on breaking off the engagement, he now wanted to resume his relationship with Chu Xiang. Yi Chen did not even go to see Bai Xuewei. He directly called Bai Xuewei and told him that he did not like her anymore. He would give her the apartment as a breakup fee. Bai Xuewei did not even have time to ask before he was blacklisted again. It was only then that Yi Chen found out that his mother had used his phone to blacklist Bai Xuewei. He thought about how he did not realize this in the past few days. It was enough to prove that Bai Xuewei was not as important to him as he thought. This made him even more determined to make his choice. Bai Xuewei suffered for 2 days. Her ominous premonition turned into reality. She could not find Yi Chen no matter how hard she tried. She was so angry that she smashed everything in the apartment that could be smashed. What use did she have for an apartment? It could not compare to the apartment that Chu Xiang had prepared for her. Didn't she betray Chu Xiang and hook up with Yi Chen so that she could marry into the Yi family and become Mrs. Yi? Otherwise, why would she offend the Chu family? Bai Xuewei thought of the scene when Yi Chen chased Chu Xiang out on the weekend. She went to the school parking lot early to wait for him. Chu Xiang drove to the school. As soon as she got out of the car, she was stopped by Bai Xuewei. She put on a cold face and looked at Bai Xuewei, who instantly shed tears as if she was acting. Bai Xuewei choked and said, Xiang, Ah Chen broke up with me. He gave me the apartment as a breakup fee. Do you know why? Xiang, I can't find him. I don't know why he broke up with me. He was fine last Friday. Fortunately, we were going on a trip to relax. Chu Xiang pushed her away and walked forward. Scumbags and B*cheese are the most disgusting things. Get lost. Bai Xuewei staggered and almost fell. She quickly caught up with Chu Xiang and said, Did Ah Chen go to find you? I know he can't forget you. I've let you down. I want to fulfill your wish, but I've given him everything. I might even be pregnant with his child. I beg you, don't look back. Don't fight with me for him, okay? Chu Xiang stopped, turned around, took off her sunglasses and looked at her up and down. You are pregnant with Yi Chen's child, and he dumped you again? Yes, Xiang, I know I'm sorry for you. I've always regretted it and blamed myself. But I'm already Ah Chen's woman. We haven't been using contraception. I've been feeling sleepy and nauseous these days. It's very likely that I'm pregnant. I really can't lose him. Xiang, you have everything. I only have Ah Chen. I beg you, give him to me, okay? I really have no choice. I'm sorry. Chu Xiang pinched her chin and lifted her face. She looked straight into her eyes and said, Do you know why Yi Chen gave you a breakup fee? Because your groveling appearance makes you look like a plaything, and you're only worth an apartment. You can take my man away from me, but you can never take away my dignity and status. Even if you're lucky enough to marry into the Yi family, you'll just be a scumbag. You'll be a scumbag for the rest of your life. You'll never experience the feeling of strength and freedom. Yi Chen drove into the parking lot. When he saw them, he quickly got out of the car and ran over. What's going on? Chu Xiang shook off Bai Xuewei's face, took out a tissue and wiped her hands. She threw the tissue at Yi Chen's face and said coldly, Control your dog. Don't forget what I said. I don't mind making the Yi family bankrupt sooner. Chu Xiang turned around and left. Yi Chen was in a hurry to chase after her. Chu Xiang. Bai Shuawei hugged him and cried, Ah Chen, did you see how she humiliated me? What's wrong with you? Why did you break up with me? You. Bai Shuawei. Yi Chen pushed her away and frowned. Why are you looking for Chu Xiang? Don't tell me she's looking for you. This is the parking lot. Why are you here if you don't have a car? Bai Shuawei looked at him and said, I'm here to wait for you. You didn't answer my calls or reply to my messages, so I could only come here to wait for you. In the end, Chu Xiang mocked and humiliated me the moment she saw me. She shed tears and said weakly, Ah Chen, I know I've let Chu Xiang down. She deserves to humiliate me. I betrayed Chu Xiang for you and left the Chu family. I have nothing left. I only have you. You can't treat me like this. Yi Chen felt sorry for her when he saw her like this. But for some reason, he thought of his father's words. If the mother and daughter of the Bai family could betray the Chu family, they could betray the Yi family in the future. His heartache immediately faded. Besides, he was very sure that his feelings for Bai Shuawei were just a momentary mistake. The person he loved was Chu Xiang. He couldn't continue to be entangled with Bai Shuawei. Yi Chen made up his mind and said, Just take it that I've let you down. I've already made it up to you. I'll give you another $2 million. Don't pester me in the future. That's all. Bai Shuawei grabbed Yi Chen's arm and cried, What if I have your child? Abort it. Yi Chen shook her off, parked the car, and went straight to Chu Xiang's classroom. Bai Shuawei was thrown to the ground by him. Seeing that he left without even looking at her, she felt a sense of hatred in her heart. She had tried so hard to seduce him, but he had changed his mind inexplicably, just like how she had been secretly pleased with herself before. It was all wishful thinking. The two of them could still reconcile after fighting. Moreover, it was a marriage between two powerful people in the business world. She was the only one who had become the biggest joke. Bai Shuawei gritted her teeth and stood up. If she could defeat Chu Xiang once, she could do it again. She must become Mrs. Yi. Yi Chen and Bai Shuawei entered the classroom one after another, but they didn't see Chu Xiang. Yi Chen couldn't sit still after waiting for class to start. He ran out of the classroom to look for Chu Xiang. 20 minutes after class started, Chu Xiang arrived late. She explained to the teacher that she had gone to the good staff office and was delayed. Bai Shuawei's heart skipped a beat. She instantly remembered that she had been publicly criticized and warned last time. She couldn't listen to the class at all. She was in a mess. Before she could think of anything, she saw the tutor appear at the door with a serious face. He apologized to the teacher and said coldly, Bai Shuawei, follow me to the office. The tutor was obviously suppressing his anger. All the students in the classroom looked at Bai Shuawei. First, Chu Xiang went to look for the tutor. Then the tutor went to look for Bai Shuawei. There was definitely a connection. The tutor was so angry. It might be a big deal. A student's eyes darted around. She hid under the table and sent a voice message to her roommate, who was from a different major, asking her to check on Bai Shuawei. The students around her heard it and paid attention to it. They asked her to inform them as soon as she received a reply. Bai Shuawei followed the tutor. When he arrived at the office, he saw that Yi Chen was also there. Besides them, the dean of students was also there. The tutor played a recording of what Bai Shuawei said to Chu Xiang in the parking lot. It turned out that Chu Xiang had gone to the tutor to give the recording to him. She accused Bai Shuawei and Yi Chen of harassing her again, and suspected that there was a dirty deal between them. The recording was very clear. It recorded how Bai Shuawei cried about being abandoned by Yi Chen, and how she was pregnant with Yi Chen's child. Bai Shuawei's expression changed. He rushed over to snatch the recording, but the tutor stopped him. He insisted that everyone listen to the recording. Yi Chen's face darkened. He asked, Didn't you say that Chu Xiang humiliated you? Why did it sound like you were the one who kept harassing her? Which of your words are true, and which are false? He grabbed Bai Shuawei's arm and walked out. Let's go. We'll go to the hospital for a checkup now. I don't believe that you're pregnant. The dean of students shouted sternly, Stop right there. Don't leave until you know what happened. Call your parents over. The students who were eavesdropping outside the door widened their eyes. They quickly ran to the bathroom and sent a voice message to the students in class. Chapter 16. There was an uproar in the classroom. The teacher frowned and knocked on the table with a serious face. What are you doing? The students stopped talking, but they all looked down at their phones to read the latest gossip on the post. Bai Shuawei was pregnant with Yi Chen's child. The most important thing was that Bai Shuawei was dumped. She cried and begged Chu Xiang not to steal her man. Chu Xianglai sat in the middle seat today. The student closest to Chu Xiang couldn't help but ask, Chu Xiang, is this true? You and Yi Chen made up? Another student came over and said, Chu Xiang did a good job. She made the third party cry. We'll take back the same way she took him away. Chu Xiang glanced at the post on their phones and said calmly, the school will tell us whether these things are true or not. But the trash will be thrown into the trash can. I'm not interested in getting involved. The surrounding students didn't understand at first, but after thinking carefully, they realized that the trash was Yi Chen. Chu Xiang meant that she didn't want to steal Yi Chen. Then what was wrong with Bai Shuawei? Why was she bothering Chu Xiang about their relationship? They couldn't attend this class. The teacher packed up and left, leaving them free to revise. The teacher was very dissatisfied with the result of the class. After he understood the reason, he went to the guidance counselor's office to report the situation to her. The dean of teaching knew that the news had spread, and his expression became worse. Bai Shuawei was suspected to be pregnant, and she was suspected to have made an improper transaction to obtain an apartment. The whole school knew about this, and it had a bad impact on the school. If she wasn't severely punished this time, wouldn't the warning last time be a joke? Who would take the school's authority seriously in the future? What about the school's spirit? The dean of teaching ordered Yi Chen and Bai Shuawei to urge their parents to come to school immediately. Their parents were local, and they had to come to school to solve the problem. Otherwise, they would be suspended. Bai Ling rushed to school and bumped into Sun Jie downstairs. She subconsciously called out Mrs. Yi and wanted to shake hands with Sun Jie, who knew that when Sun Jie saw her, her eyes were full of disgust as if she saw a fly. When the parents arrived, the dean of teaching called Chu Xiang over and asked the tutor to play the recording again. The words that made Bai Shuawei feel ashamed rang out again. Bai Shuawei's face turned red. He was too ashamed to show his face in front of Sun Jie. She quickly averted her gaze and looked at Chu Xiang with tears in her eyes. Xiang, why did you record it? Did you do it on purpose? Everyone in the office looked at Chu Xiang. After all, recording was not common in daily life. It was inevitable that people would think more about it. Chu Xiang nodded without hesitation. Yes, I did it on purpose. She crossed her long legs and leaned against the sofa. She crossed her arms in front of her chest and looked cold. Bai Shuawei, who was confronting her, almost couldn't continue asking. She took it for granted. Bai Shuawei shed tears. I'm sorry. I know I did something wrong, but what will others think of Ah Chun if you do this? Dean, it's all my fault. Please punish me. Chu Xiang ignored her. She looked at the dean of teaching and said, Dean, I've read the law about how annoying people should be dealt with if they repeatedly disturb others. There's a personal restraining order that is very good. Unfortunately, our country doesn't have it on campus. Can the school keep these two people away from me? When I saw Bai Shuawei today, I turned on the recording. It's obvious that she's going to say something pretentious again. This recording is the evidence that she's harassing me. Dean, I believe the school knows that whatever happened between the two of them has nothing to do with me. I hope that I can have a good learning environment in this school and not be harassed endlessly. Sun Jie pulled Yi Chen to her side. Yi Chen apologized to Xiang. How much trouble have you caused for Xiang? Why can't you wait until after school in private? Mrs. Yi, please don't misunderstand. I won't have any interaction with Yi Chen, whether it's during school or private time. Chu Xiang didn't give her any face. She took her bag and stood up. Dean, that's my attitude. Can I leave now? Yes, Chu Xiang. The final exam is coming soon. I hope you won't be distracted by these things. The school will definitely consider your request seriously. Thank you, Dean. Chu Xiang thanked her politely. Then she ignored Sun Jie's shouts and left the office. Sun Jie vented all her anger on the mother and daughter of the Bai family. She put on airs and mocked them. She didn't use any vulgarities when she scolded them. Bai Ling always felt that she was inferior to her. She didn't dare to say anything. She could only keep saying that Bai Xuewei ruined her reputation for Yi Qin, and that Yi Qin couldn't abandon her. On one side, they were high and mighty and looked down on Yi Qin. On the other side, they were complaining about their grievances and moral blackmailing. Sun Jie wanted to say a few words casually and leave quickly. She didn't want to embarrass herself here. However, Bai Ling didn't let them leave. She insisted that Yi Qin be responsible for Bai Xuewei. The more they did, the more Yi Qin couldn't get away. Sun Jie was furious. In the end, the dean insisted that Yi Qin and Bai Xuewei go home for the holidays. They only had to come back to take the final exam this semester. As for the specific punishment, it would be decided after the school's discussion. As soon as Yi Qin left school, he dragged Bai Xuewei to the hospital for a checkup. Bai Xuewei didn't have any money at all. Bai Xuewei explained anxiously. I didn't say that I was pregnant from the beginning to the end. I just thought that it was possible that Chu Xiang's recording made others misunderstand. Didn't you say that to make Chu Xiang misunderstand? You also didn't use contraception with Chu Xiang. You deliberately made her uncomfortable, didn't you? Yi Qin saw that she still wanted to explain, so he impatiently stopped her. He sneered and said, I don't care how many excuses you have. In short, you succeeded in making me uncomfortable. It just so happens that the house hasn't been transferred yet. You can just pack your things and leave. I can't have any improper transactions with you. By the way, the 2 million yuan is also gone. Don't bother me in the future. Now that I think about what you said in the past, I feel disgusted. Yi Qin didn't look for gentleness in Bai Xuewei anymore. He looked at her as if he was looking at a stranger. He could analyze her rationally. Comparing the words in Bai Xuewei's recording and the way she inverted right and wrong in front of him, he could easily recall the countless times that Bai Xuewei had tried to drive a wedge between him and Chu Xiang in the past. When he thought about how he had been deceived by her, he hated her to death. How could he still be nice to her? Bai Xuewei almost blurted out a lot of curses, but she had nothing left. She forced herself to hold back her anger and maintain a wronged expression. Then she put on a strong smile and said, I know that you won't believe me no matter what I say. I was wrong today. When I saw you chasing after Chu Xiang, I was so scared. After that, your mother on the phone. No, I couldn't reach you. I let my imagination run wild. When I heard that you wanted to break up this morning, I was completely confused. I ran to Chu Xiang and said a lot of nonsense. Now that I think about it, I feel ashamed. I'm sorry, Ah Chen. I didn't expect things to get so serious. I'll go back and move out now. Actually, I've already asked my mother to move out. I want to spend some time with you. There's not much in the apartment. She smiled and wiped away her tears, revealing the sweet look that Yi Qin liked the most. Don't worry. I won't pester you. I was the one who ruined your relationship with Xiang Xiang. I'm sorry for her. It's good that you two can reconcile. Goodbye. Bai Xuewei looked at Yi Qin seriously for a long time, as if she wanted to engrave the person she loved the most in her heart. Then she left without looking back. Her back was straight, and she walked away without any reluctance. Even from the back, she looked very beautiful. In fact, Bai Xuewei gritted her teeth tightly, and there was no expression on her face. She hailed a taxi, and when she got into the car, she looked back. As expected, Yi Qin was still standing there. He seemed to be in a daze, but he also seemed to be looking at her. She understood Yi Qin. Although Chu Xiang had given her too many surprises recently, making her feel that she no longer understood Chu Xiang, she was still very sure that she understood Yi Qin. Yi Qin was the kind of person who didn't know how to cherish things. He could never see the beauty that he already had, and he always regretted it after losing it. Though he said he disliked his parents' conduct, he had in fact imperceptibly learned their ways by word and example. However, he insisted on finding the person he really liked, and this gave him an excellent excuse to cheat. He lost himself in it, and didn't even know what he wanted. It was a perfect example of what it meant to say that a wife is inferior to a concubine. A concubine is inferior to a mistress, and a mistress is inferior to a mistress. Now she was retreating in order to advance. When Yi Chun was tired of her and doubted her, she left in the most beautiful manner. How was she different from Chu Xiang in the past? If Yi Chun could forget Chu Xiang's shortcomings and fall in love with Chu Xiang again, he could forget his doubts about her and care about her again. The words she left behind had given enough information. It was Yi Chun who abandoned her and chased after Chu Xiang. It was Yi Chun's mother who blacklisted her and humiliated her. It was Chu Xiang who made the recording of their private affairs public. She was just an infatuated person who was suddenly abandoned after her sense of security was destroyed. Only this time, she was confused and made a mistake, but she sobered up in time and felt relieved. Her reputation in school was ruined. She didn't want anything and simply moved away. She didn't complain that she had nothing. She became the biggest loser in this love triangle. These were enough to prove that she was really kind and didn't care about it. She really loved him and really felt sorry for Chu Xiang. As long as she seized the opportunity in the future, Yi Chun would definitely feel sorry for her and return to her willingly. Bai Xuewei rehearsed what would happen after countless times in her heart. She calmly moved to Bai Ling's rented apartment. She didn't expect that she would fall in love with Chu Xiang. She took the wrong step. She thought that she would anger Chu Xiang and get slapped by Chu Xiang. She didn't expect that Chu Xiang was completely different from the past. Her reputation was ruined. She decided not to get close to Chu Xiang and only focus on Yi Chun. This way, there wouldn't be any more accidents. In the afternoon, when it was almost dusk, Chu Xiang received a call from teacher Liang. The tutor told her that the results of the investigation were out. Yi Chun and Bai Xuewei would be recorded as demerits. They were not allowed to go to school this semester and had to stay in school for the next semester. They were not allowed to harass her in any way during their stay in school. If they made one more mistake, they would be expelled. However, the school would clarify that Yi Chun and Bai Xuewei had broken up as a normal couple. There was no improper transaction, and there was no love. Chu Xiang didn't care about this at all. Anyway, Bai Xuewei would be at a disadvantage even if there was no transaction. As long as they didn't disturb her, it would be fine. She hung up the phone and waved the document in her hand to Xiao Han, who was on the other side of the computer screen. How is it? Is my plan feasible? Xiao Han clasped his hands on the table and looked at her through the screen. He said slowly, "There are a few things that need to be changed. Come to my place. I just got a bottle of good wine. We can celebrate your peaceful campus life." Chu Xiang rested her chin on her hand and smiled. "President Xiao, has anyone ever told you that you are very charming? It's dangerous to drink with a woman at night." Xiao Han lowered his head slightly and slowly untied his tie. He looked up and asked her, "Sister Chu, do you want to come over?" Chu Xiang looked at him and smiled. "Of course, I can't let President Xiao down." Chapter 17. Chu Xiang turned off the video, looked at the documents, and thought for a while. Then she chuckled. She didn't know when Xiao Han found out that she was looking at his tie. He was seducing her through the screen. She went to the cloakroom and picked a red dress with suspenders. The thin straps hung on her snow-white shoulders, as if they could break at any time. The deep V-neck showed the beauty of the dress, and the thin material outlined her beautiful figure. The hem of the dress fluttered when she moved slightly. Chu Xiang looked left and right in front of the mirror and smiled. She was also very seductive and worthy of the red wine that CEO Xiao had specially prepared. Chu Xiang found a white shawl and tied it on her shoulders. The seductive charm was covered in an instant. She looked just like a fashionable beauty. Chu Xiang brushed her hair with satisfaction, put the documents in her bag, and drove to Xiao Han's residence. Xiao Han didn't like outsiders at home. He had always lived alone. His home was in Yulong Bay, not far from the Xiao group. Chu Xiang entered the room and saw a room with black, white, and gray hues. Everything was neatly arranged and clean. She raised her eyebrows and looked around the room. She smiled and said, "Mr. Xiao, this style of decoration is called cold and indifferent. Usually, the owner who lives here is very strict and restrained. Are you the same?" Xiao Han had taken off his suit and tie. He was wearing a simple black shirt with the top two buttons unbuttoned. He looked mysterious and happy. He stood behind the bar and poured the red wine into the decanter. With a faint smile he said, "Less is more." Restraint may be because there is a deeper desire hidden inside. Chu Xiang walked over and looked at the red wine. She leaned against the bar and said, "It really makes people want to explore it. Sister Chu, you have a lot of opportunities." Xiaohan looked at his watch and said calmly, "It's still early. Let's wait for the red wine and revise the proposal?" "Okay. This is the first time I have really cooperated with Mr. Xiao. I'm looking forward to what kind of sparks we can create." Chu Xiang fiddled with her earrings and followed him with a smile. The two of them came to the study. Xiaohan walked in front and pulled a chair next to his office chair. He sat down and turned on the computer. "I have some information here. Sister Chu, let's take a look." "Okay." Chu Xiang sat beside him and looked at the information on the screen. In order to snatch the Yi family's bid, they had already contacted each other many times and had a general understanding of the situation. What Xiaohan showed her was the secret information he had obtained from the inside. According to this information, they needed to change part of the plan. Xiaohan had been in the battlefield of the business world for a long time, and he was very experienced in dealing with all kinds of unexpected situations with ease. On the other hand, Chu Xiang was considered a newcomer in the workplace. She was smart and capable, but it was inevitable that she would not consider things thoroughly. Xiaohan filled in the gaps and explained to her the necessity of doing so, as well as the drawbacks of some of her ideas. Chu Xiang memorized his words very seriously. She drew inferences and asked a lot of questions. Xiaohan gave her solutions based on the hypothetical situation she described. After listening, Chu Xiang came up with new questions. The topic had gradually deviated from the original project. Xiaohan glanced at the time. When she was about to continue the discussion, he leaned over to take the folder on the other side of Chu Xiang. His chest was close to Chu Xiang, almost touching her. Chu Xiang smelled a very light perfume. It was very refreshing. It reminded her that she was here to drink red wine tonight. Xiaohan opened the folder and handed it to her. "This is my latest bid plan. There is also the core content of the bid. Sister Chu, take a look." Chu Xiang did not take it. She leaned sideways on the armrest of the chair. She was only a centimeter away from him. She tilted her head to look at the document in his hand. Xiaohan took the folder. She flipped through the document page by page. Neither of them spoke, but the atmosphere became a little ambiguous between breaths. Chu Xiang nodded slightly. She turned to look at him and smiled. "Very good. I like it very much." Xiaohan put his arm on the back of her chair. At this time, his other hand put the document on the table. His posture of supporting the table seemed to trap Chu Xiang in the chair. He lowered his head slightly and looked at Chu Xiang. He moved closer to her and whispered, "It is my honor to be liked by Sister Chu." The two of them slowly moved closer to each other. When there was only a paper between them, Chu Xiang's phone suddenly rang. Chu Xiang immediately straightened up and answered, "Mom." Feng Qing smiled and said, Xiang, where are you? Your father's plane will arrive in more than an hour. How about we go to the airport to pick him up and have a sumptuous dinner?" "Dad is coming back today?" Chu Xiang looked at the expressionless Xiaohan and smiled. "Okay, I'll go to the company to pick you up. Let's go to the airport together." "Okay, I'll wait for you. Drive slowly." "Got it, Mom." Chu Xiang smiled at Xiaohan apologetically. "Sorry, family time. I'll taste your red wine in the future if I have the chance. I'll go first." Xiaohan buttoned his collar and got up. "I'll drive you." Chu Xiang took her bag and walked to the door. She turned back and smiled at Xiaohan. "Mr. Xiao, there are still many things I don't understand about this plan. I'll ask you out for dinner instead." "Okay." Xiaohan crossed his arms and leaned against the door. He watched Chu Xiang turn around and walk up the stairs without hesitation. He went to the bar and poured a glass of red wine. He gently swirled the glass and took a sip. Then he put down the glass and went back to the study. He informed his assistant to hold a video conference. The members of the project team immediately wailed. Chu Xiang drove to the airport. When she passed by the store, She changed into a fresh set of clothes and put the red dress into a bag. Fang Qing had dressed up carefully. She looked very elegant and charming. Chu Xiang smiled and praised her. Mom, you're so beautiful today. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Mom, have you been missing Dad for a long time? We've been married for so long. What's there to miss? Fang Qing said. After she got into the car, she opened the makeup mirror and touched up her lipstick. Chu Xiang smiled and said, I have a feeling that I might be the third wheel. I should find my own program today. Two people's world is called two people's world. Three people's world is called Tuan Tuan Yuan Yuan. Fang Qing saw the red dress in the bag and asked casually, You went shopping? No, I had a date with a beauty, so I dressed up. But when I received Mother's call, I immediately came over. Chu Xiang said it as if she was joking. Fang Qing didn't take it seriously. She thought it was a party between girls. When they picked up Chu Dongqi, the family of three went to the top floor of the tallest building in the city to enjoy a candlelight dinner at Lulu Garden Restaurant. There were all kinds of exquisite and beautiful candlesticks on the table. The long and short candles looked especially beautiful in the night. The exquisite plates were filled with delicious food. Around them were beautiful gardens, musicians playing the violin, and a two-person swing. Through the fence, they could see the beautiful night view of the city. Chu Xiang sighed and said, This place is so suitable for a date. It's so romantic. Chu Dongqi cut a piece of steak and joked, Xiang Xiang, do you want to date? Is there no atmosphere if you come with Mom and Dad? Of course not. It's very nice to have a warm atmosphere with Mom and Dad. Chu Xiang poured wine for them and asked curiously, Dad, did your project negotiation go well? When do you plan to start it? Have you formed a team? Chu Dongqi and Fang Qing looked at each other. They shook their heads and laughed. This child is becoming a workaholic. If we really hand over the company to her in the future, she'll probably be so busy that she won't even have time to eat with us. No, we can't let her take over the company so quickly. Let her be an assistant for a few more years. Fang Qing nodded in agreement. We can't give her too much work. I didn't realize that she liked to work so much before. She always slept later than me. When I got to the office in the morning, she had already made me tea and sorted out the documents to be approved. Chu Dongqi put down his knife and fork and looked at her. You're deliberately showing off your daughter. Xiang Xiang, you and Mom are better now. Come and be Dad's assistant for a while. We have different styles of doing things. You can learn more if you switch back and forth. Why are you trying to steal my daughter in front of me? Do I need to steal my own daughter? Chu Xiang lowered her head and ate silently. She didn't want to disturb their bonding. Her premonition was right. She had really become a huge third wheel. Every moment was worth 1,000 gold. She had given up a huge gold mine to be a third wheel. The husband and wife's argument about stealing someone's daughter was of course inconclusive. Everything remained as it was. Chu Xiang could participate in whatever she liked. They gave Chu Xiang the greatest trust. They believed that she could handle things well no matter what position she was in. When it came to work, Chu Xiang said to them, Xiao Han and I plan to work together to steal the Yi Group's bid. I'll send you the plan tomorrow. I hope I can form a team to cooperate with the Xiao Group. Chu Dongqi was stunned and asked, Why are you stealing the Yi family's bid? Did they make trouble for you? Tell Dad what happened. Dad will help you deal with them. Chu Xiang smiled and said, Dad, let me practice on my own. The Yi family is always looking for trouble, and always comes to harass me. It just so happens that I don't like them. Let me have a chance to apply what I've learned. Fang Qing nodded decisively. Okay, I'll choose an office for you tomorrow. You can choose your own people to form a team to attack the Yi Group. But how does this have anything to do with Xiao Han? Why did he agree to work with you? Chu Xiang explained simply. Xiao Han heard me warning Yi Chen. He knows that I'm interested in the Yi Group's bid. He has insider information that this project is very promising and profitable, so he proposed to work with us to attack the Yi Group. I think it's good. He provided a lot of information, and I can steal a few things from him. We can split the profits and share the risks. We can't take the big cake of the Yi Group, so it's good to share it with the Xiao Group. Chu Dongqi raised his eyebrows and said, President Xiao proposed to work with you? He has insider information. He can steal the bid on his own. There's no reason for him to share the profits with us. He thought about it from a man's perspective and said to Chu Xiang seriously, "Cooperation is cooperation, but you still have to be careful when you interact with each other in private. Don't get bullied. There's no free lunch. You have to think carefully before you encounter anything." Chu Xiang smiled. "I know, Dad. It was impossible for her to be bullied. She would never be bullied. In the end, she might reap the benefits." President Zhao's black shirt looked really good. She really wanted to drink that glass of red wine. Chapter 18. Chu Xiang became an independent project manager. At the same time, she was also the liaison between Feng Qing's project and Zhao's. She suddenly became busy. She had her own independent office, which was on the top floor of the company, just like Feng Qing and Chu Dongqi. The office was not big, which was very suitable for her position. However, she had been in the company for such a short time, and was independently responsible for a project, which was easy to gossip about. There were so many employees in the company. Even Chu Dongqi and Feng Qing could not make everyone shut up. Everyone felt that the two bosses spoiled their daughter too much. Fortunately, only Chu Xiang and Xiao Han knew how profitable this project was. The others were like the Yi family. They only thought that this was a good project. Chu Xiang was in charge of this project. Although the company's leaders had some thoughts, no one really stopped her. They only expressed in the meeting that they did not want to cause losses for the company. Chu Xiang was busy selecting team members, busy with meetings, busy with the work of the two projects, and also going to school to review the knowledge points. She had long forgotten about the red wine in Mr. Zhao's house. She was always busy from morning to night. Occasionally, she had video calls with Xiao Han, but they were all about work. There was no ambiguity at all. After Xiao Han was hung up by Chu Xiang again, he called his secretary in and said coldly, "There will be a meeting in half an hour. I want the latest project information. Everyone has to propose changes to the original content of the bid. Tonight, we will make a better plan. Tomorrow, we will have a meeting with Dongfang. You go and contact Sister Chu's assistant and make an appointment." "Okay, Mr. Xiao. I will do it right away." The secretary left the office, sent a picture of a big ice cube to the secretary group, and then passed on Xiao Han's order. Everyone suddenly felt bad. Recently, they did not know if Mr. Xiao had taken the wrong medicine. He had turned into a workaholic, and was very enthusiastic about a project. They did not understand why Mr. Xiao attached more importance to this project than the big project with Dongfang. He had meetings every 2 or 3 days, and was very strict. All of them had to work overtime and work overtime. However, no one dared to ignore Mr. Zhao's order. The project team still racked their brains, and used the fastest speed to pick out the problems in the bid. They felt Mr. Zhao's cold aura at the meeting. They all explained the bones they picked out and waited to be scolded. They did not expect Mr. Xiao to nod in satisfaction after seeing them pick out so many problems. Xiao Han knocked on the table and said, "Tomorrow's meeting with Dongfang Group. You have to give more suggestions and strive to improve this bid. Find out the important problems and give them project bonuses." After Xiao Han left, everyone looked at each other. They didn't understand what CEO Zhao's focus was. Dongfang's Dongfang, 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 Dongfang. Dongfang, 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 Fang Dongfang. Chu Xiang's appearance as the Queen of the Night stunned Xiao Han. He had a dream that night. In the dream, Chu Xiang was wearing a black diamond evening gown and walking in front of him. Occasionally, she would turn around and smile at him, but he could not catch her no matter how hard he tried. After waking up from the dream, they often contacted each other because of the Yi Group's bid. Chu Xiang's voice always lingered in his ears. He saw Chu Xiang through the screen. It was just like in the dream. He could see her, but he could not catch her. They had finally closed the distance between them and could face each other. But it was ruined by a phone call. The feeling of being close to her, and then being forced to keep a distance made Xiaohan's desire break out of the ground and quickly grow into a ginseng tree. He wanted to be with Chu Xiang. He wanted to be with her very much. Chu Xiang was quite surprised when she heard that there was going to be a meeting. She asked what was wrong with the project. Xiaohan's secretary only had a few details that needed to be discussed together to formulate the final bid. Chu Xiang originally wanted to contact Xiaohan to ask, but the school suddenly organized a summer internship mobilization meeting and required all students to attend. She forgot about it. Thinking back, everything would be clear during the meeting. There was no need to ask first. The next day, Chu Xiang and Xiaohan brought their respective teams together for a meeting. Xiaohan finally saw Chu Xiang. The first thing he said was, "Sister Chu, have you been very busy recently?" Chu Xiang nodded. "I've been very busy. Fortunately, the final exams are coming soon. After the exams, I don't have to go to school. Our project is about to be bid. I will try my best to spend time on this project. By the way, are there any problems with the bid?" Xiaohan asked her to sit beside him. He raised his hand to signal his subordinates to get ready. He said, "They attach great importance to this project and want it to be perfect. They found some problems. It's not a big deal. Listen to them." The members of the Xiao Group's project team began to speak one by one. Chu Xiang listened carefully, but she felt that something was wrong. If it was a problem, it was really just a problem. Both sides only needed to send someone to confirm it a few times. Why did they need to hold a meeting together? She turned her head to look at Xiaohan, and her eyes met his deep gaze. Xiaohan whispered, "Sister Chu, what's the matter? Why don't we go to the tea house next door?" "Okay," Chu Xiang responded. Xiaohan stood up and said, "You guys discuss with each other. Make sure all the details are clear. The meeting will be adjourned in an hour." Xiaohan and Chu Xiang left. Xiaohan's subordinates were still working hard to discuss the bid with the Dongfang staff. They were still thinking about the bonus. If they could find some important problems in the end, then this trip would be worth it. Chu Xiang entered the private room of the tea house. She flipped her hair to one side and relaxed on the sofa. She propped her head up and looked at Xiaohan opposite her. "I'm so tired. Is President Xiao deliberately increasing my workload? I can do a lot of things during the meeting." Xiaohan took off his suit jacket, rolled up his sleeves, and began to make tea. "Sister Chu is too difficult to make an appointment." Chu Xiang looked at him with a smile and joked, "President Xiao is so busy every day. You sound like a workaholic. Now you put down your work and troubled so many people. Is it just for a date? President Xiao, aren't you too unprofessional?" "I always know what my job is." Xiaohan handed the brewed tea to Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang didn't take it. She looked at the clear tea, and then looked at Xiaohan. Xiaohan's lips curled up slightly. He got up and sat down to feed her the tea. Chu Xiang leaned close to him and drank the cup of tea from his hand. She smiled and looked up at him. "President Zhao's tea is better than Birao's. I think President Zhao's red wine is just as good." Xiaohan looked at his watch and said casually, "We can still book a restaurant now. I wonder if Sister Chu has time to have dinner with me? After dinner, we can try the bottle of red wine from last time." Chu Xiang was about to speak when her phone rang. She turned on her phone and saw that it was a message from Chu Dongqi, telling her to go home after the meeting. He would personally cook for them tonight. She didn't want to hide it. Xiaohan, who was next to her, saw everything. When she looked up again, the smile on Xiaohan's face had disappeared. She held back her laughter. "I'm sorry, President Xiao. It's family time again. My father will go abroad in a few days, so he asked me to go home and have dinner with my family every night." Xiaohan returned to his original seat with the teacup. He said while making tea, "It's okay. Family is important." Then he asked casually, "Sister Chu, is there a curfew at home? Then you can't attend many social events." Chu Xiang looked at his expression and said with a smile, "There's not a curfew, but I don't like social events. I'm always busy. I don't attend unnecessary gatherings. In fact, it's not bad to relax occasionally. Combining work and rest can improve work efficiency." Xiaohan wanted to find time to go on a date. However, Chu Xiang was very unromantic. She said without hesitation. I don't want rest. I just want to work hard. I wasted so many years in the past. Now I want to make up for it all. I want to learn a lot. Xiaohan raised his eyebrows slightly. You want to learn business? Chairman Chu and Chairman Fang are very outstanding seniors. But maybe my idea is more suitable for young people, more suitable for you. When Sister Chu has time, I can tell you my experience. Chu Xiang laughed. Okay, I will ask President Xiao for advice when I have time. At that time, I hope President Xiao won't find me annoying. The two chatted face to face in the tea house. The environment was very relaxed, and they got along very well. After the meeting, the subordinates sent them a message. Xiaohan said with some regret, I'll send you back. Well, thank you, President Xiao. Chu Xiang carried her bag and got into Xiaohan's car. She asked her assistant to drive her car back. On the way, Chu Xiang asked Xiaohan about the interesting things in college. Xiaohan was a person who didn't like to talk, but he told her a lot. Chu Xiang laughed again and again. It didn't take long for them to arrive at the Chu villa. Xiaohan looked at the villa, his fingers unconsciously tapping on the steering wheel. He said, Sister Chu, if you have any questions about work, you can ask me. I'm happy to answer them. It's very convenient to have a video call like before. Chu Xiang lowered her head and unfastened her seatbelt. President Xiao, have you ever had a girlfriend? Xiaohan pursed his lips and was silent for a moment. He turned his head and looked out of the window. No. Chu Xiang grabbed his tie and pulled him over. She whispered to him face to face. President Xiao, are you in love with me? You have to try to know. Xiaohan reached out and put his hand around her waist. He lowered his head and slowly approached her. Chu Xiang. An angry shout broke the ambiguous atmosphere. Xiaohan's face instantly darkened. His eyes shot daggers at the person outside the car. If his eyes could materialize, that person would be stabbed into a sieve by him. Chu Xiang laughed and fell into his arms. She thought about how she and Xiaohan had been interrupted time and time again. She laughed so hard that her stomach hurt. No one else could have such a magical fate. Xiaohan was still looking out of the window with a cold face. He hugged Chu Xiang tighter and whispered in her ear. Is it very funny? Maybe I should send you to a private group. That way, no one will disturb us. Chu Xiang pushed him away in amusement. You can go if you have the chance, but you have to wait until I'm done. I'm leaving. Xiaohan helped her tidy up her hair and asked, Do you need my help? No. Chu Xiang pushed open the car door and got out of the car. There was still a smile on her face. She turned around and waved at him. Goodbye, President Xiao. Work hard. Don't slack off. Chapter 19. Xiaohan backed the car a little, but he didn't leave. Chu Xiang turned to look at Yi Chun and asked in surprise, What are you angry about? Yi Chun looked at her in disbelief. What am I angry about? Chu Xiang. You're with Xiaohan so soon? No wonder the Xiao group and the Dongfang group suddenly snatched my family's bid. You. Stop. Chu Xiang waved her hand and looked him up and down. Are you a kindergarten child? Or are you a monster who can't understand human language? Didn't I snatch your family's bid because you harassed me? If you continue like this, I'll snatch it until the Yi family goes bankrupt. You can try if you don't believe me. Also, it's none of your business who I'm with. Stay away from me. I'm not interested in talking to you. Chu Xiang walked around him and was about to leave. Yi Chun subconsciously reached out to pull her, but Chu Xiang grabbed his fingers and twisted them. Chu Xiang. Let go of me. In order to relieve the pain in his hands, Yi Chun could only kneel on the ground. His face was twisted in pain. Chu Xiang shook him off and snorted. It seems that you don't learn from your mistakes. Then I'll beat you until you don't dare to move. Xiaohan let go of the car door and sat back in his seat. His worry was unnecessary. Chu Xiang also used this to teach Yi Chun a lesson last time. Yi Chun covered his hands and said angrily, Chu Xiang, can you let me finish? I've already broken up with Bai Xuewei. She instigated everything. I just want to talk to you. I hope you can forgive me and we can start over. If I didn't like you, do you think I wouldn't get even with you after being beaten by you so many times? Chu Xiang wasn't curious about him at all. nor was she interested in his feelings. She said coldly, "I don't have a hobby of recycling garbage. It's impossible for me to have anything to do with you. If you can understand human language, you'd better go back and keep an eye on the Yi Group as soon as possible. I'm not joking when I say that I'll make the Yi Group go bankrupt." Chu Xiang ignored him after that. She waved at Xiao Han and walked into the villa. Yi Chen shouted from behind her, "Chu Xiang, I won't give up. I don't believe that you're so heartless. I'm going to pursue you again." The servants in the courtyard asked Chu Xiang in surprise, "Sis, what's wrong with young Master Yi?" Chu Xiang shrugged. He must have watched too many stupid dramas. He thinks he's chasing after an ignorant woman. If he shows up again in the future, get the security to chase him away. "Yes, sister." After Yi Chen shouted, he turned around to look for Xiao Han. He realized that Xiao Han had already driven off when Chu Xiang went in. He stared at the car driving away for a long time. He didn't believe that Chu Xiang would deal with the Yi Group. Even if they had emotional conflicts, the Chu family and the Yi family had been friends for many years. How could she attack the Yi Group and make it bankrupt? Moreover, the Yi Group was a giant in the business world. How could she make it go bankrupt? In the past, Yi Chen often hung out with Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang had never touched business. How could she know about bidding in such a short time? He felt that Chu Xiang might have been used by Xiao Han. Otherwise, why would the Xiao Group get involved when Chu Xiang snatched the Yi family's bid? Xiao Han clearly wanted to take advantage of the cooperation between the two families to get close to Chu Xiang and obtain the resources of the Dongfang Group. Yi Chen thought about it and regretted his attitude towards Chu Xiang just now. He clearly wanted to be gentle and explain to Chu Xiang when he saw her. Why did they quarrel as soon as they met? Xiao Han took advantage of him for nothing. But when he saw that Xiao Han almost kissed Chu Xiang, he was about to explode with anger. How could he think so much? Yi Zhenhong called and asked him how his talk with Chu Xiang was going. Yi Chen said impatiently, "She doesn't want to talk to me. She's still angry with me. Moreover, with Xiao Han by her side, how could she be willing to listen to me? In the past, when she was with me, she never talked to other boys. Solve the trouble you caused yourself. The company's affairs are not a joke. The bidding is about to begin. Convince Chu Xiang to give up the bid as soon as possible. Okay, I know what Chu Xiang likes. I will get her back. Then everything will be fine. Even if she gets the bid, we are still family. Dad, don't be long-winded." Yi Chen didn't think that Chu Xiang would stop talking to him. Even if Chu Xiang's heart was broken by him, they had been together for more than 10 years. Chu Xiang had always loved him so much. As long as he lowered his attitude and sincerely asked for peace, how could Chu Xiang not forgive him? He was very confident that he could get Chu Xiang back. It was just a matter of time. Yi Chen was restricted from getting close to Chu Xiang in school, so he drove his sports car and waited outside the school. As soon as Chu Xiang came out, he stopped her car and gave her a large bouquet of bright red roses. Chu Xiang looked at him coldly in the car. She stepped on the accelerator and directly crashed into him. Yi Chen was so scared that he hurriedly dodged. Chu Xiang brushed past him and drove away without slowing down at all. Yi Chen looked at the petals scattered all over the ground and kicked Luwen Tai angrily. He called again and ordered a bouquet of flowers to send to the Dongfang Group. Yi Chen's pursuit was very fierce. Every time he sent flowers to school, flowers to the company, and afternoon tea, everyone knew that young Master Yi was pursuing the daughter of the Chu family again. Chu Xiang did not accept anything. All of it benefited the students in school and the employees of the company. During the final exam, Bai Xuewe's heart was filled with jealousy when she saw Yi Chen pursuing Chu Xiang so attentively. As a result, she was uneasy during the exam. In addition, she did not study much during this period of time, so she did a complete mess. She looked up at Chu Xiang on the other side of the classroom. Chu Xiang was answering the questions calmly, not affected at all. She could not figure out why she and Chu Xiang seemed to be the opposite. In the past, she was the one who looked on coldly from the sidelines. From time to time, she would sow discord, making Chu Xiang angry and emotional. But now, it seemed that no matter what they did, Chu Xiang was unmoved. They would be affected every time. Perhaps it was because they cared that they were affected. Those who did not care could always stay out of it. Bai Shuawei did not deliberately get close to Yi Chun, but she pretended to inadvertently let Yi Chun see her. He knew that she did not pester or disturb them. The tutor shook his head helplessly when he saw Yi Chun drive out of school to wait for Chu Xiang after the exam. The university was like society. The teachers did not really care much about the students. There were many school rules and regulations, but as long as it was not too overboard, the school would turn a blind eye. The problem was that Chu Xiang's love triangle was too big. Everyone in and out of school was talking about it. There was even a scandal about Bai Shuawei exchanging her body for an apartment. Although the school had clarified, how could the students believe it? Besides, Chu Xiang did not care about them anymore. She said several times that they had seriously harassed her, and asked the school to punish them. They had seriously violated the school rules and regulations. The scope of the influence had spread to the whole school, and they refused to change despite repeated warnings. It was really too bad. The school couldn't expel them from the school, but they still had the power to persuade them for their mistakes. The tutor thought about it, and decided to discuss it with the dean. They could not continue like this. The final results were released very quickly. To everyone's surprise and satisfaction, Chu Xiang ranked first in the professional course, while Bai Shuawei flew low and barely did not fail. When everyone saw that Chu Xiang had defeated Bai Shuawei, they were even happier than if they had failed their neighbor. They all thought that good deeds were rewarded, but evil deeds were repaid 3 times. Some people even dug up the post where Chu Xiang had asked them not to disturb her studying. Many students entered the post and left comments to make fun of her. They even posted the words "studying is better than dating." For a time, the famous saying "study hard and make progress" appeared on the university campus again. Zheng Bai Shuawei was under great pressure when faced with the disdainful looks of her classmates. She did not expect her grades to be so low. Maybe she did not pay attention during the exam and wrote all the questions she knew wrong. Even if she did not think the grades were important, this was the image of a top student that she had personally created. Now she had been defeated by Chu Xiang. The whole school was watching the scene where the first wife defeated the third wife. This feeling was very uncomfortable. Bai Shuawei looked down on ordinary students. She grew up in a rich family. Even if she had nothing now, she felt that she was much better than others. She could not stand the way her classmates looked at her. She deliberately let Yi Chun see her hiding and crying alone. Yi Chun wanted to pretend that he did not see her and walk away. However, after taking a few steps, he came back and asked her, "What's wrong?" Bai Shuawei turned around and wiped her tears in a hurry. "Nothing, I'm fine." Yi Chun said impatiently, "You're crying like this and you're still fine? What's wrong?" I failed the exam. A lot of people are laughing at me." "What is this?" Yi Chun sneered. He had forgotten that he had used Bai Shuawei's good grades to attack Chu Xiang. In his mind, he came to this university to spend time leisurely. He did not need grades at all. Bai Shuawei forced a smile and said, "I'm fine. I feel bad that so many people are laughing at me. You know that I've always wanted to excel. The summer internship is coming soon. At that time, maybe, they will laugh at me for betraying Xiang again. Now I can't even go to a good company. Sorry. I shouldn't have said this to you. Then I won't disturb you. I'm leaving." Bai Shuawei once again retreated in order to advance. She smiled and turned to leave. Yi Chun looked at her and said, "Wait for me to inform you about the internship. Don't misunderstand. We've known each other for 10 years. I just don't want to see you being laughed at by others." Bai Shuawei looked at him in surprise. "Really? Thank you, Ah Chun." Yi Chun did not want to see her. He waved his hand impatiently and left. Bai Shuawei was confident. She still had 2 years to go to university. She still had time. On the eve of the holiday, the university and a few partner companies jointly held an internship job fair. A few companies set up a pilot program in the university's Great Hall. Students could choose their own companies and bring their resumes to the interview. Bai Shuawei specially went to the site. She was now staying in the dormitory occasionally. A girl in her dormitory asked her, "Are you going to the interview?" Bai Shuawei shook her head. No, I've already passed the interview with Li Sheng Group. I'm going to be an assistant manager at Li Sheng Group during the summer. Then you're very good. The girl praised her. She went to look at other companies with her friends and did not want to talk to her too much. The students nearby heard their conversation and could not help but look at Bai Xuewei. A girl who had just been rejected by a company said, "So what if she's a mistress? So what if she failed the exam? Didn't she still go to a world-famous company for her internship? I even laughed at her before. Ha, I might never be able to compare to her. Don't worry about her. We can't do what she did." I think it's funny. Everyone even congratulated Chu Xiang on the forum for defeating Bai Xuewei. This result was very satisfying. Who knew that this was not the result at all? In the end, Bai Xuewei is still as glamorous as ever. Then, how do you know that Chu Xiang is not more glamorous than her? Look, isn't that Chu Xiang? Chapter 20. A member of the student union led another company into the venue. Some students asked around and found out that it was a new company, the Dongfang Group. All the students looked at Chu Xiang. Wasn't the Dongfang Group Chu Xiang's family's company? Chu Xiang was wearing a professional suit. Her long curly hair was tied into a low ponytail behind her head. She was wearing high heels and walked in front of the Dongfang employees, giving off a very capable feeling, especially in the venue full of young students. She was clearly their classmate, but she seemed different from them. She had already run far away from their finish line and went to participate in the next competition. The students watched as Chu Xiang walked to her seat and sat down. The Dongfang employees set up a poster of the Dongfang Group's logo behind her. On it was printed in large words that the Dongfang Group was going to recruit 100 interns in their school with preferential treatment. What kind of company was the Dongfang Group? It was a mega company that was several times stronger than the Li Sheng Group that they had just discussed. They never recruited interns. They had never thought that they could intern in Dongfang. Many students swarmed to the recruitment spot of the Dongfang Group. Chu Xiang's classmate rushed to the front and asked embarrassedly, "Chu Xiang, are you in charge of recruitment? Did you ask the Dongfang Group to recruit interns in our school?" Chu Xiang smiled at her and said, "I asked them to. I want to form my own team and nurture new blood. The quality of our school's teaching is very high, and many students have great potential. So the first thing I thought of was our school. However, this time we're only recruiting summer interns. I've set up different positions to train the interns. Those who are interested can sign up." "Thank you, Chu Xiang. This is such a good opportunity. I want to sign up. I want to be a member of Chu Xiang's team. I want to sign up too. I hope I can pass. I'll definitely learn a lot from these positions. I'm so touched. I like Chu Xiang's personality." During this period of time, Chu Xiang got along very well with her classmates. The main reason was that these classmates loved to help her. They mocked and ridiculed Yi Chen and Bai Xuewei in all sorts of ways, and pinned them to the pillar of shame on the school forum. They even took the initiative to supervise them after the school warned them not to get close to her. This made her feel very comfortable. Therefore, Chu Xiang provided them with this opportunity. It was always good to let her be a Gaoyi. Of course, they still had to compete for the position. A total of 4 employees came from the Dongfang Group. They were to handle the registration of the students and the preliminary examination. Chu Xiang conducted the second examination for the students who passed the preliminary examination on the spot. If they passed the examination, they would be given temporary work badges and employment information. Although Chu Xiang still had a faint smile on her face as she worked, it was completely different from before. She was like a company leader, and the students in the queue all consciously lowered their voices when they spoke. A girl passed the preliminary test and came to Chu Xiang. After reading the resume and the preliminary test evaluation, Chu Xiang looked up at the girl and closed the resume. "You didn't pass. Next." The girl frowned and said, "Why? You haven't asked me anything." "Chu Xiang, I remember that you once suspected that my supercar was a breakup fee from Yi Chen. It's a character problem to spread such nasty rumors without verification. Dongfang doesn't need such an employee. The girl widened her eyes and said in disbelief, "It's been so long, Chu Xiang. At that time, I didn't know that you were richer than Yi Chun. Many people guessed so." "The many people you mentioned can't enter Dongfang. Dongfang nurtures talents, but only talents with good character." Chu Xiang glanced at the security guard at the door. The security guard immediately came over to ask the girl to leave. A classmate said, "That's understandable." At that time, no one knew the inside story. The girl next to her rolled her eyes. "If you don't know, don't mess around. You deserve to be passed for such nonsense." I think that Chu Xiang is right. This is a character problem. If you spread such rumors in the company, wouldn't it affect others? That's true. Chu Xiang is so strict. Look at this. She's taking the business English test. It looks like I won't be able to get in. It's good that she's strict. With such strict screening, you'll definitely be able to learn something useful if you get in. While they were talking, another boy was passed by Chu Xiang. The boy was unwilling to give up and asked why. Chu Xiang casually said, "Because you scolded me before. I'm not happy." The boy had indeed scolded Chu Xiang before. He was a fly that wouldn't bite a seamless egg. It was Chu Xiang who didn't keep an eye on her man. She deserved to be snatched away. He didn't expect Chu Xiang to know. He said awkwardly, "You're using your position to take revenge on me. No one hires like you do." Chu Xiang spread her hands. "It's my family's company. Why can't I hire like this? I'm the one who initiated this recruitment. I want the talent, and I set the rules. Whoever makes me unhappy will have no chance. It's as simple as that. Please leave." The boy still wanted to make a fuss, but he was directly escorted out by the security guards. The venue was much quieter. Everyone was looking at Chu Xiang. Someone said in admiration, "Queen Chu is too domineering. She's indeed not a gentle person." This is Queen Chu's true colors. Why was she so touched at the beginning? "I'm in love. I must pass the interview. There's meat to eat if you follow Queen Chu." Think about how she almost gave Bai Shu away a 10 million yuan house. Even if you can't be her best friend, you can be her subordinate. Yes, yes, yes. Be her subordinate. What happened to that 10 million yuan house? I know that. My relative saw it. Chu Xiang donated 10 million yuan on the charity list. I went to ask around and found out that the house was sold for 9.6 million yuan. Chu Xiang collected the money and donated it. This was another bomb for the students. 10 million yuan? So what if she donated it? Although Chu Xiang was a rich person, this 10 million yuan was originally meant for Bai Shuawei. Everyone thought of Bai Shuawei. They looked around the venue and saw Bai Shuawei standing far away at the entrance of the venue. It seemed like she was about to leave. Just now, some people thought that she was better than many people by being able to intern at Li Sheng Group. Now looking at her again, they suddenly felt that she was a loser who had lost 100 million yuan. The word mourning was written all over her body. What was the use of interning at Li Sheng Group? Could it be compared to being Chu Xiang's right-hand man in Jin Dongfang? What was the use of snatching Yi Chen? Could it be compared to Chu Xiang's 10 million yuan donation? Everyone suddenly realized that they couldn't compare Bai Shuawei to ordinary people like them. Bai Shuawei's starting point was much higher than theirs. They were working hard and moving up bit by bit. Even if Bai Shuawei entered Li Sheng Group, she would still be going downhill. Some of the students who were a little envious of Bai Shuawei couldn't find the slightest bit of envy anymore. They inexplicably felt that she was a little pitiful. Bai Shuawei had always been very sensitive to other people's likes and dislikes. She came to the venue today because she had been too aggrieved during this period. She wanted to enjoy the envious gazes of the crowd. In the end, she didn't even enjoy it for 2 minutes. Chu Xiang was mocked and pitiful by these gazes. She hated it when people mocked her. And she hated it even more when people pitied her. Now she hated Chu Xiang the most for causing all of this. Bai Shuawei quickly left the venue. That feeling of humiliation lingered in her mind. She couldn't win against Chu Xiang in anything. No matter how hard she worked and how outstanding she would always be defeated by Chu Xiang. Wasn't it because Chu Xiang came from a good family? Chu Xiang was born with something that she couldn't get even if she worked hard for her whole life. She was jealous. She dreamed of marrying into a rich family, but who would marry the daughter of the Chu family's housekeeper? Only Yi Chen. They were childhood sweethearts and had known each other for 10 years. The Yi family was the most likely place for her to marry into a rich family. She finally succeeded in capturing Yi Chen's heart, but in the end, it was still ruined by Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang was born to be her nemesis. This time, Chu Xiang was in the limelight at the venue. Bai Shuowei fled like a stray dog. They used to be the most ordinary pair of best friends in school. But now, one of them was in the top, and the other was in the bottom. There was no trace of their former selves. When the event was about to end and Lan, who came with a friend, saw the post on her phone. She pursed her lips and went forward to show the post to Chu Xiang. She said, "Chu Xiang, Yi Chen is waiting for you at the entrance with a car full of fresh flowers. Why don't you leave from the back door? He's so annoying." Chu Xiang smiled when she saw the post. "Thank you. Don't worry about him." And Lan recalled how Chu Xiang had almost run over Yi Chen with her car and laughed. "That's true. He's always angered to death because of you. Chu Xiang, do you have time later? I'm holding a birthday party for my birthday. Do you want to come and have some fun and make some friends?" The Yin family's business was about the same as the Yi family's. Most of the friends that Lan invited were famous second-generation heirs in their circle. Some of them were even business heirs. Chu Xiang thought for a moment, and felt that they might be able to work together if they got to know each other better. So she agreed. "I'll be there on time. Happy birthday in advance." And Lan smiled happily. "Thank you. That's great. I'll go back and tell them. They'll definitely be overjoyed. You don't know, but you're now a role model in everyone's hearts. We all like you very much. You're also very cute." Chu Xiang curved her lips and smiled at her. And Lan suddenly blushed a little. She covered her face and ran away. "You're breaking the rules. You're even flirting with women." The students nearby all laughed. Chu Xiang also shook her head and laughed. She got up and packed her things, ready to leave. The staff asked her, "Sister Chu, are you going back to the company?" Chu Xiang looked at the message on her phone and smiled. "No, someone's coming to pick me up." Yi Chen drove a red convertible sports car. The car was filled with red roses. It was very eye-catching when he parked it in front of the school gate. A black Maybach drove over slowly and stopped on the other side of the school gate. Yi Chen noticed it, but the windows of the Maybach were blocked, so he couldn't see the people inside. He didn't care. He leaned against the sports car and struck a very handsome pose. He focused on waiting for Chu Xiang. During this period of time, Chu Xiang had been rejecting him. On the contrary, he became more enthusiastic. He even found the passion that Lian Chu and Chu Xiang had when they were passionately in love. Chu Xiang walked out with a group of classmates. Yi Chen smiled and stood up straight. Xiang, today is the 15th anniversary of our meeting. Shall we have dinner together?" The driver of the Maybach got out of the car and opened the back door, attracting the attention of the students. This car looked very luxurious. It was the car of a big shot. Who could be coming out of it? What did he come to their school for? Xiao Han stepped out of the car. This kind of handsome CEO in a suit and leather shoes had a huge impact on the students. Wasn't this the kind of handsome CEO and powerful aura that only existed in idol dramas? They saw Xiao Han fastening a button on his suit and walking towards them. He stood still and said, Xiang, I'm here to pick you up." Chapter 21. Chu Xiang was stunned when she heard him call her Xiang. Then she looked at Xiao Han's cold expression and couldn't help but laugh. She held his arm and said, "Have you been waiting for a long time? Let's go." Someone in the crowd boldly shouted, "Chu Xiang, is he your boyfriend?" Xiao Han and Yi Chen both looked at Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang smiled and said, "Yeah, isn't he handsome?" "Handsome? You're so cool." Many students cheered and laughed. Xiao Han's eyes softened and the corners of his mouth turned up slightly, showing that he was in a good mood. He led Chu Xiang to the car. Yi Chen blocked them with a cold expression and stared at Chu Xiang and asked, "Are you really with him?" Chu Xiang asked doubtfully. How could it be fake? Yi Chen looked at Xiao Han, and then at her. He gritted his teeth and said, Are you really not going to give me a chance? I thought this was enough to express my sincerity. He took a deep breath and softened his tone. Xiang, today is the 15th anniversary of our meeting. I've been preparing for this for a long time. Please give me another chance. Let's start over and get to know each other again, okay? I won't let you down again. Xiao Han's arm tightened a little. Chu Xiang felt that her hand was being clamped by him. She laughed and said, Yi Chen, there's no need for an anniversary for such a terrible day. If I were to start over, I would definitely wish that I had never met you. Besides, I already have a boyfriend. Naturally, other people don't have a chance, including you. I'm not interested in flirting with other people. Chu Xiang grabbed Xiao Han's tie and pulled him down. She stood on her tiptoes and kissed him on the lips. Their lips touched and parted. Xiao Han's lips were stained with a bit of lipstick. He looked very happy. Chu Xiang smiled in satisfaction and said, Let's go. We don't have much time. We still have a lot of things to do. The two of them walked around Yi Chen and got into the car. Yi Chen's mind was filled with the many things that they were about to do. He wanted to pester them further, but he was stopped by the school security guards that his classmate had called over. This was the reason why Chu Xiang liked her classmates. These children were too pure and cute. The chauffeur drove to the restaurant. Xiao Han sat beside Chu Xiang with a serious expression and raised the partition between the front and back seats. Chu Xiang tilted her head to look at him and asked knowingly, What are you doing? Xiao Han met her gaze. There was a faint flame in his eyes, and his voice was a little hoarse. What do you think, Sister Chu? You don't call me Xiang anymore. Chu Xiang pulled his tie and smiled. She leaned over and pressed him against the back of the chair. Her lips touched his as she said, President Xiao, call me Xiang again. I like it. Xiao Han looked at her and took out her phone from her bag. Turn off your phone. Chu Xiang stuffed her phone back and chuckled. That won't do. If you don't call me that, I'll go to work. The unfinished words were drowned out by their lips and teeth. Xiao Han held the back of her head to prevent her from backing away, and pressed her against the seat instead. Along the way, he didn't know how many times he said Xiang. The chauffeur had worked for Xiao Han for so long, but this was the first time he saw him with a girlfriend. He drove steadily in front of the car and drove around the city, silently giving his boss enough time. When Xiao Han touched the zipper of Chu Xiang's dress, she pushed him and asked, Have we reached the restaurant? I have a meeting in the afternoon. I have to go back early. Xiao Han held her hand and kissed it gently. Postpone it. Come to my house. No, I have to go to a meeting. Chu Xiang touched Xiao Han's handsome face and kissed him comfortingly. She smiled and said, Good boy. Let's go to the restaurant to eat. I'm hungry. Xiao Han looked at her for 3 seconds and admitted defeat. He took a deep breath and sat up. He knocked on the partition and said, Let's go to the restaurant. The car drove onto the main road. Chu Xiang slowly tidied up her dress and took out the makeup mirror to touch up her makeup. She saw Xiao Han's cold look in the mirror. She took the tie beside her and waved to Xiao Han. Come here. Let me help you tie it. Xiao Han's expression didn't change, but his body moved to her side honestly and lowered his head cooperatively. Chu Xiang wiped his lips with her thumb and laughed softly. If other women saw you like this, they would go crazy. Xiao Han looked at her attentively. What about you? Chu Xiang raised her eyebrows and slowly tied the tie for him. I only know how to make others go crazy. She looked up at him and warned with a smile. President Xiao, don't love me too much. I'll be sad if you love me too much. Xiao Han hugged her tightly. Less is more. The greater the risk, the greater the reward. Chu Xiang didn't say anything else. She leaned her head on his broad shoulder and closed her eyes to rest. Not long after, she fell asleep in his comfortable embrace. Xiao Han looked down at her fair side profile and raised his hand to move the loose hair by her cheek. She had been so busy recently that there were faint green circles under her eyes. Xiao Han suppressed all the dates he had thought of. If he let her go on a date with him outside of work, his heart would ache. The first time he met a woman who put work first, he could only be a workaholic with her. Chu Xiang slept and drank to her heart's content. She went to work happily, and felt that time flew by quickly. On Lan's birthday, she called her early in the morning to remind her not to forget to attend the birthday party. Chu Xiang was in the middle of a video call with Xiaohan. When Xiaohan asked her who was calling, she answered directly. Xiaohan thought for a moment and said, "I'll go with you? Sister Chu is so busy that she doesn't even have time to meet. We can only see each other at the party." He was trying very hard to get a chance to go on a date. However, Chu Xiang rejected him heartlessly. "We're both young. What are you going to do?" Xiaohan's face darkened. "I'm only 5 years older than you," Chu Xiang said while putting on makeup. 3 years is a generation gap. You have nothing to talk about with them. Besides, you're the president of Xiao Group. If you go, how much pressure will it put on everyone? We're bidding tomorrow. Work hard and perfect our project. I'll call you after the party. Xiaohan looked at the schedule. He didn't have anything to do that night. He coughed softly and said, "Call me after you're done. I'll pick you up and take you home." Chu Xiang finished putting on makeup and looked at herself in the mirror. She looked at the video call and smiled. "If you pick me up, can I still go home?" "Well, wait for my call. I'm going to work." Chu Xiang blew him a kiss, turned off the video call, and went to work. The birthday party was at dinner. After dinner, they would play until late at night. Chu Xiang planned to go home after dinner with them. After all, she had to bid the second day. It was not suitable for her to stay up late. Xiaohan went to the bathroom and looked at himself in the mirror. Was his desire written all over his face? How did Chu Xiang see through his intention at a glance? However, now that Chairman Chu was on a business trip, Chu Xiang didn't have to go home every time for love meals. Couldn't he ask her out for red wine? Xiaohan looked at the navy blue shirt he was wearing and called his assistant. "Buy me a black shirt with a suitable tie." The assistant nodded and asked doubtfully, "President Xiao, you only want a shirt and tie? Don't you need a full suit?" Xiaohan felt that Chu Xiang liked to look at his tie and shirt every time she saw him. However, he was not going to pick her up at home. Of course, he had to wear a full suit. He thought for a while and said, "Match it with a silver gray suit, a watch, cuffs, and leather shoes. Buy it and send it to my office." "Okay, President Xiao." Xiaohan dialed the secretary's internal line. "Inform everyone that the afternoon meeting will be brought forward to the morning. Free up my afternoon." "Yes, President Xiao." The secretaries in the secretary's office sent messages in the group. "Is President Xiao going to torture us again? He was just gentle for a few days. Is he going to turn into a workaholic again? God bless him. President Xiao, please don't make us work overtime." Is President Xiao in a relationship? Why has he been so moody recently? Then I hope his relationship is successful. I hope that love can melt him, so that he will never torture us again. Chu Xiang had to leave early for the party in the afternoon, so the meeting was brought forward. Recently, their companies have been cooperating closely. Some employees, who were familiar with each other, added each other on WeChat. When chatting, they mentioned their boss's meeting. They all sighed that they were working for two hardworking bosses. They were both workaholics. Their projects would definitely be stable. In the afternoon, Chu Xiang went to celebrate Lan's birthday with birthday gifts. There were about 30 people present, all of whom were second-generation businessmen around the age of 20. Most of them were still in school. Only a few of them had come into contact with their families' companies and were learning from their elders. Chu Xiang was considered the most successful one among them. However, they did not care about this. They were more concerned about Chu Xiang's actions during this period of time. It was so cool. During the meal, Lan sat next to Chu Xiang and talked to her. When the others saw that she, the protagonist, did not mind, they were even more relaxed. They all surrounded Lan and Chu Xiang. There were also people who asked Chu Xiang for advice when they encountered troubles. They wanted to slap the other party's face like Chu Xiang. Everyone was lively. Chu Xiang felt that they were inexplicably worshipping her. This was different from her initial plan of making connections and working together. However, with more friends, it was quite interesting to play together like this. In particular, Lan's temperament was very suitable for her. She was really a cute girl. After Xiaohan finished his work, he went to the gym with the new clothes that his special assistant had bought. He sweated profusely in the gym for the whole afternoon and practiced a lot of shaping exercises. When the coach came forward to check on him, he said to the coach, "Help me develop a set of exercise plans to maintain my youthful state." The coach said in surprise, "President Xiao, you have a very good figure. You are in peak condition. You don't need this kind of exercise at all. Develop a set. It will be too late to maintain it when I am in poor condition." "Okay, then I will send the plan to your special assistant later." Xiaohan practiced until Chu Xianglai's phone call was about to end. He took a quick shower, put on the new clothes and drove to pick up Chu Xiang. When Xiaohan arrived at the restaurant, he happened to see Chu Xiang and the others coming out. And Lan was holding Chu Xiang's arm as if she was acting coquettishly. There were two handsome boys next to Chu Xiang, smiling happily. There was also a boy who was helping Chu Xiang carry her bag. Chu Xiang was standing with them, and it was unusually harmonious. Xiaohan suddenly felt as if his treasure had been discovered by others. When he thought of the generation gap between Chu Xiang and the 3-year-old, he felt an inexplicable sense of crisis. He drove the car over and got out of the car. He put one hand on the roof of the car and the other on the door. He looked at Chu Xiang and smiled at her. Chu Xiang's eyes lit up when she saw him. In the night, Xiaohan was standing beside the car in a silver gray suit and smiling at her. There was an indescribable attraction, like a melting ice cube. She suddenly wanted to go back and have a glass of red wine with him. Chapter 22. Chu Xiang said goodbye to everyone and reached for her bag. The boy didn't let go and asked tentatively, "Sister Xiang, are you really with President Xiao?" Chu Xiang looked at Xiaohan and said with a smile, "Yes, we're a good match, aren't we? Let's go. Bye." The boy let go and Chu Xiang watched Xiaohan walk over. And Lan looked at them from behind and suddenly shouted to Chu Xiang, "Sister Xiang, you have to protect yourself. Don't get hurt again." Chu Xiang waved her hand with her back to her. Xiaohan had come over to open the car door for her. Chu Xiang's hand fell on his chest. She looked up and kissed his chin, whispering, "President Xiao, you're very charming tonight." Xiaohan ignored other people's surprise. He hugged Chu Xiang and kissed her lips. He whispered in her ear, "You're even more charming. So many boys are fascinated by your meal." Chu Xiang chuckled and said, "President Xiao, are you jealous?" Xiaohan looked into her eyes and whispered, "I don't like vinegar. I only like red wine. I've been keeping that bottle of red wine for you. When are you going to drink it?" "Now." Chu Xiang raised her eyebrows and got into the car. Xiaohan immediately closed the door and got in the car. He didn't even give Chu Xiang a chance to say hello to others before he drove out. And Lan rubbed her eyes and asked the others, "Is that President Xiao? The iceberg Xiaohan of the Xiao group? Did I mistake him for someone else?" "Who says Xiaohan is an iceberg? He's obviously a volcano. He seduced our sister Xiang. Don't you think Sister Xiang is too powerful? She can make Yi Chen so angry. Of course, she can also make President Xiao like this." "What are you talking about? Anyway, Sister Xiang is with President Xiao. We have no chance." "That's not necessarily true. If President Xiao treats Sister Xiang badly like Yi Chen, I can take her away at any time." And Lan shook her head and interrupted them. Okay. I know you are Sister Xiang's fans. Now that Sister Xiang is not here, don't show your loyalty. Let's go to the bar." Everyone got into their respective cars and called for a designated driver to drive off. And Lan looked in the direction where Chu Xiang had left and felt depressed. She had just gotten closer to Chu Xiang. She wanted to play with Chu Xiang more like other best friends. But in the end, Chu Xiang had already been taken away by Big Bad Wolf Xiao. She probably didn't have time to care about her. Why wasn't she a man? The vengeful Big Bad Wolf Xiao still remembered what Lan had shouted. He asked while driving, "They asked you to protect yourself? Do I look like someone who would hurt you?" Chu Xiang turned to look at his handsome side profile and smiled. "They should be worried about you." The car drove into the garage and stopped. Chu Xiang pressed Xiaohan down and kissed him deeply. She then untied his tie. Xiao Han carried her out of the car and walked into the elevator. He raised her bag to block the side of her face. Chu Xiang's current appearance was too moving, and he didn't want anyone to see it. His house was on the top floor, and he had a special elevator. As soon as they got out of the elevator, he pressed her against the wall and nibbled on her earlobe. When the phone rang, Xiao Han froze and tightened his arms. He simply wanted to throw Chu Xiang's bag into the Pacific Ocean. Chu Xiang took out her phone and picked up the phone with a smile. Fang Qing was on the other side. Xiang, when are you coming back? Chu Xiang lay in Xiao Han's arms and kissed his chin. She smiled. Mom, I played very late tonight. I'm tired, so I'll sleep outside. I won't go back. You won't come back? Oh, okay. Then don't drink too much. Be careful. I know, Mom. Rest early. Good night. Good night. Chu Xiang hung up. She felt that Xiao Han had completely softened. He hugged her tightly and whispered in her ear. If you leave me today, I may not want to drink red wine for the rest of my life. Then what are you waiting for? Chu Xiang hugged his neck and gently bit his Adam's apple. Xiao Han's Adam's apple bobbed. He opened the door as fast as he could and carried Chu Xiang into the bedroom. He was like a hairy man, but he always remembered to treat Chu Xiang gently. Even if he tore her dress in excitement, he didn't make her feel uncomfortable at all. Chu Xiang finally unbuttoned his shirt and saw the scenery inside with her own eyes. It was as if she was opening a gift of the highest quality. The long wait did not wear down her enthusiasm. Instead, it made her even more willing to taste the most delicious meal. Their traces were left everywhere in the bedroom. Xiao Han took Chu Xiang to thoroughly familiarize herself with every corner of his bedroom. The bottle of red wine was on Xiao Han's bedside table. They knocked it over and spilled it on their bodies. They finally tasted it properly and remembered the taste of this bottle of red wine. It was more mellow and attractive than the most precious red wine in the world. At 3 o'clock in the morning, Xiao Han finally knew why Chu Xiang should be worried about him. It was because he felt that he had been eaten clean over and over again. Although he was happy, he still felt that something was wrong. They still had to bid at 10 o'clock in the morning. Chu Xiang announced that they would take a bath and go to sleep to preserve their energy. They finally understood the structure of the bathtub in depth. Then, they lay down on the comfortable bed in the guest room and prepared to sleep. Chu Xiang rested her head on Xiao Han's shoulder, hugged his waist, and pressed her face against his chest. She felt much more comfortable than sleeping alone. Soon she fell asleep. Xiao Han still wanted to talk to her, but he was the only one awake. He kissed the space between her eyebrows and muttered in his heart, "Heartless." He closed his eyes and went through the bidding contents in his mind again. He only fell asleep after making sure that there wouldn't be any problems with Chu Xiang's first project. This time, no one came to disturb them. They really hugged each other and spent the night. They did not feel uncomfortable at all. Instead, they felt refreshed and energetic. This feeling of waking up in Peter's embrace was wonderful. Perhaps this was the feeling of being passionately in love. It made people unconsciously want to smile and feel warm all over, as if they had fallen into cotton candy. Chu Xiang pressed down on the restless Xiao Han. She got down barefoot and turned to him with a smile. "We're going to bid. If we win, we'll celebrate together tonight." Chu Xiang went into the bathroom. Xiao Han also went back to the main bathroom as fast as he could to take care of himself. He saw the torn dress on the carpet. He picked it up and looked at the size. He called his special assistant and asked him to buy a professional dress suit immediately and a suit to match the dress. Xiao Han looked at the wrinkled and scrapped shirt on the ground. He was very satisfied with his special assistant's taste and decided to give him a bonus at the end of the year. Chu Xiang did not have any clothes to change into, so Xiao Han took a white shirt for her to wear. However, when he saw Chu Xiang's long legs walking around the room, he regretted it. He immediately took a bathrobe and wrapped it around her. If they didn't cover up a little, they would be late for the bidding. Xiao Han made breakfast. He used to study abroad and learned to make simple Chinese food. It tasted good. Chu Xiang sat opposite Xiao Han and enjoyed breakfast leisurely. She was in a very good mood. Xiao Han took a sip of milk and said casually, "Now many people like to move out and live by themselves. It's convenient to go to work and socialize. Xiang, have you ever thought about moving out? Chu Xiang looked at him with a smile. Where? Xiaohan coughed softly and said, Purple Jade Garden is not bad. It's not far from the Dongfang group. The environment is good. Do you want to take a look? Purple Jade Garden. Chu Xiang thought for a moment and smiled. The one between the Dongfang group and the Xiao group? It's very convenient for you to go to work from there. It's indeed a good place, but I'm not moving. I want to accompany my parents. Xiaohan lowered his eyes and played with the cutlery. He did not give up. Chairman Chu and Chairman Fang are so close. They should have their own world. Chu Xiang nodded and wiped the corner of her mouth with a napkin. They do need their own world, so I've decided to work hard and take over the Dongfang group as soon as possible so that they can retire and travel around the world. When that time comes, they can enjoy their romantic world. They might even have a romantic baby. Before they travel, I want to enjoy the warmth of a family. I hope you can take over the Dongfang group as soon as possible. Xiaohan picked up the milk and clinked glasses with her. He smiled lightly. He had grasped the main point. The sooner his girlfriend became a superwoman in the business world, the sooner Chairman Chu and Chairman Fang would leave. Only then would he be able to successfully enter his girlfriend's private space. He decided to adjust the strategic direction of the Xiao group for the next 3 years and cooperate with the Dongfang group in all aspects to achieve a win-win situation and create beautiful results for his girlfriend. After dinner, the clothes bought by the special assistant were delivered. Xiaohan's driver drove the Maybach to take the two of them to the tender and meet up with their subordinates there. There was no need for too many people to go for the tender. Only 6 of them went. When they arrived, Yi Chun and Yi Jinhong had just arrived. Yi Chun followed beside Yi Jinhong. When he saw the Maybach, his face darkened. He could not help but wonder where Chu Xiang and Xiaohan went after getting into the car and what they did. Then he saw Xiaohan get out of the car and go around to the other side to open the door. Who else could make Xiaohan do this? Yi Chun had a bad premonition. Sure enough, in the next second, Chu Xiang held Xiaohan's hand and smiled as she watched Xiaohan get out of the car. The intimacy and tacit understanding that lingered around the two of them stung Yi Chun's eyes. He clearly understood that something must have happened between them. In the past, Chu Xiang belonged to him completely. But now, Chu Xiang stood beside Xiaohan, and he no longer existed in her eyes. Yi Jinhong's face was slightly ugly. He faked a smile and said, President Xiao and Sister Chu seem to value this tender very much. They actually came in person. Isn't it the same for President Yi? Xiaohan was still a man of few words to outsiders. He nodded as a greeting and walked into the hall with Chu Xiang first. Yi Jinhong came because the Xiao group and the Dongfang group had joined forces to snatch his bid. Of course, he had to take it seriously. The Yi family had been preparing for a long time. The Xiao group and the Dongfang group were just acting on the spur of the moment. He might not lose. He glared at Yi Chun and snorted coldly. It's all your fault. Chu Xiang won the bid. We're all family. What about now? She's about to become a member of the Xiao family. You can't do anything right. Yi Jinhong strode into the hall, and Yi Chun followed him expressionlessly. He saw that the organizer was exchanging greetings with Chu Xiang. He had already regarded her as the representative of the Dongfang group and a mature bidder. His hands hanging by his legs clenched into fists. He had never realized so deeply that the Chu family and the Yi family had really broken up. He could only blame himself for being too naive and treating these things as conflicts between children. He kept pestering them, but he forgot that they had already grown up and could even affect the family business. At this moment, he wished that he could become stronger. He wished that he could be stronger than Xiaohan and stand beside Chu Xiang, shoulder to shoulder with her. Chapter 23. The bidding company received instructions from the top and knew that there would be changes in the policy. This seemingly ordinary project would become a super project when the policy was announced. Due to the special circumstances, in order to ensure fairness, the bidding company temporarily informed the bidders that the bid would be opened, announced, and evaluated on the spot. In the afternoon, the notice of winning and losing the bid would be issued. Then the winning bidder was required to sign the project contract with the bid inviter within 3 days. A total of 6 companies participated in the bidding. Chu Xiang sat beside Xiaohan and listened to Xiaohan explain to her the unexpected events that might occur during the bidding. She learned a lot from Xiaohan, since it was the first time she came into contact with these things. The two of them talked head to head. Yi Chen saw them from behind and felt that they were very close. His heart felt like it was being bitten by countless ants, which made him very uncomfortable. The bidding company had filed a record with the relevant departments in advance. All the way, the process of review, announcement and bid opening was quickly completed. After confirming with all parties, the bid evaluation committee began to evaluate the bids, and the people from the companies went to the restaurant next door for lunch. Yi Zhenhong felt that something was wrong. Not only was the bidding time advanced, but it also seemed to be very strict. Considering the importance of this project, this shouldn't happen. He tried to ask the people of the bidding company, but they kept their mouths shut and only asked him to wait patiently for the bidding results. He called the other shareholders of the company and asked them to find out what was wrong with this project by any means. After an hour, someone vaguely inquired a little bit. This project might be changed, and the profit would be doubled. Yi Zhenhong instantly understood why Xiaohan wanted to help the Chu family win the bid. It was not only to help Chu Xiang vent her anger, but also because he knew the internal information in advance and knew that this project was profitable. Yi Zhenhong's heart kept sinking. He called the company a few more times and got up to find the people of the bidding company. Yi Zhenhong and the other shareholders of the Yi Group worked together, but it was still useless. Time passed little by little. He could only watch the bidding company give the notice of winning to Chu Xiang on the spot. The people in charge of the companies came forward to shake hands with Chu Xiang and congratulate her. They didn't expect to win, so they didn't have much regret if they failed. Only Yi Zhenhong's heart was bleeding after knowing the inside story. He maintained the smile on his face as he congratulated Chu Xiang and Xiaohan. Then he strode away without looking back. The moment he got into the car, he gave Yi Chen a tight slap. The last time you caused Chu Xiang to be hospitalized, you made Yi Group lose more than $1 billion in profits. This time, you provoked her to snatch our bid. The fat meat that we've been eyeing for a long time fell into her mouth just like that. The Yi Group has become a big joke. Yi Chen never thought it would be so serious. He covered his face and asked unhappily, "Is the Yi Group so useless against them? Can't you do anything about it? Redeem? Don't you see how strict it is today? This was to prevent people from using their connections in private. You're really my good son. If you didn't harass Chu Xiang, would she target the Yi family? The Yi family has already lost 3 business deals to the Chu family. Are you really going to make the Yi family go bankrupt before you're satisfied?" Yi Chen lowered his head and muttered, "I didn't know. Did she really steal our business? You only know how to eat, drink, and play. What do you know? Do you think she's playing house with you? Even if we break off the engagement with the Chu family, we still owe them face. You have to make enemies with the Chu family. Today at the meeting, you still stared at Chu Xiang. What else do you want? In the future, stay away from Chu Xiang. Go back to your school and study hard." Yi Zhenhong had nowhere to vent his anger. He didn't like Yi Chen at all. Yi Chen knew that he was in the wrong and had nothing to say. Today's incident was like a hammer hitting him hard on the head. He never knew that breaking up with Chu Xiang would cause such a big trouble and cause so many follow-up troubles. He also didn't know that his pursuit of Chu Xiang would make Chu Xiang really target the Yi Group. He felt that Chu Xiang was completely different from the girl in his memory. He had been in the past and did everything according to Chu Xiang's character in the past. However, he didn't realize until now that he didn't know Chu Xiang anymore. Chu Xiang had gone too far. He was still in the same place and couldn't recognize the reality. When he got home, Yi Zhenhong asked Sun Jie to go to the study to discuss for a while. Sun Jie came out and wanted to set Yi Chen up on a blind date. The other party was the Zhang family, which was similar to the Yi family. The marriage between the two sides could achieve an effect of 11% too. They would form an alliance and improve together. Yi Chen naturally objected fiercely. He hated business marriages the most. That sister Zhang was domineering and ugly. Why should he marry her? This time, Sun Jie refused to help him. In Sun Jie's eyes, marriage and finding someone you like had no conflict at all. How could it affect the company because of the child's temper? She directly ordered Yi Chen to be locked at home, and only waited for the appointment with the Zhang family to let them meet. The whole Yi family and the Yi group seemed to be shrouded in a shadow. They officially gave up making peace with the Chu family and regarded the Chu family as the biggest threat. They were anxious to find allies and get through the difficulties. They didn't hesitate to betray Yi Chen's marriage. On the contrary, all the employees of the Xiao group and the Dongfang group who participated in the project were cheering more happily than the new year. Chu Xiang's first independent project had achieved initial success. She directly asked everyone to go to the bar to celebrate. Xiao Han sat in the middle of the crowd and watched everyone drinking, playing finger-guessing games, singing and dancing. He couldn't help but lean close to Chu Xiang's ear. "We won the bid this morning and celebrated together. I thought there were only two of us." Chu Xiang gently shook the glass and took a sip. She leaned close to his ear and said, "It's lively with more people. Isn't it fun? Let's go dancing." Xiao Han rarely came to the bar. Even if he came, he would talk about business in the private room. He had never sat outside in the hall, let alone dance. Before he had time to refuse, Chu Xiang pulled up the glass. Others saw it and immediately cheered. "President Xiao is going to dance. We want to see Sister Chu and President Xiao dance. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's get excited." Chu Xiang took Xiao Han's arm and walked to the dance floor. They swayed to the music. She smiled and led Xiao Han to dance with her. Her dancing posture was extremely moving. Xiao Han's eyes were full of her. He had long forgotten the people around him. He just followed her movements and cooperated with her. The employees of the Xiao group were shocked. "President Xiao is not possessed, is he? Is that really President Xiao? Wow, I seem to know a secret. President Xiao and Sister Chu? No wonder they always ask us to have a meeting together. Do you remember that they left before the meeting? Look at the way President Xiao looks at Sister Chu. It seems that he is really different. Hey P.A. Wang, you always follow President Xiao. Do you know?" P.A. Wang pushed his glasses and said with a smile, "It's not convenient for me to talk about the boss. No, President Xiao and Sister Chu are both workaholics. If they are really together, won't we be miserable?" Everyone gathered together and didn't know whether to be happy or sad. Looking at Xiao Han dancing with Chu Xiang on the dance floor, they felt that they were not far away from endless overtime. The DJ changed the song. It was the kind of explosive solo. Xiao Han was not used to it. He stepped out of the dance floor and watched Chu Xiang dance. Chu Xiang especially enjoyed the feeling of dancing freely on the dance floor. This kind of deafening and unscrupulous feeling was like a group of demons dancing wildly. There was a kind of madness that she was familiar with. During this period of time, she learned the rules of the modern world and suppressed all the crazy factors in the bottom of her heart. Today's successful bid made her feel the long-lost pleasure. In the business world, she could still be decisive. On the dance floor, she could also party to her heart's content. The people around Chu Xiang gradually retreated. They whistled and screamed around her. Chu Xiang became the most dazzling focus of the scene. Even the employees of the Xiao group and Dongfang group gathered around and cheered loudly. After the song ended, Chu Xiang held Xiao Han and walked back to their seats. The intimate behavior of the two was the proof that they were together. Everyone was looking at them excitedly. Chu Xiang picked up a glass of champagne and said to everyone during the music break, "I am very happy today. The success of the first step of the project is all thanks to everyone's joint efforts. Everyone's project bonus will be doubled. Ah, long live the Queen." The employees were so happy that they began to shout out the nicknames they had given Chu Xiang. The project bonus was more than their annual salary. The overtime they had worked during this period of time was worth it. They were even willing to work for another year. The music sounded again, and everyone was happy to play. Chu Xiang said to Xiao Han, "I am going to the bathroom. We will leave first later. Only the two of us can celebrate." Xiao Han finally found some sense of existence and nodded slightly to show his agreement. Chu Xiang went to the bathroom and danced for a while. She felt very comfortable, but her hair and clothes were a little messy. She smoothed her hair in the mirror and was ready to go back. A drunk man saw her and said with a smile, "Aren't you the hot girl who was dancing just now? How about it? Do you want to have some fun with me?" The man staggered towards Chu Xiang. Just as Chu Xiang was about to hit him, the man hit the wall and screamed like a pig being slaughtered. Xiao Han was still holding the man's arm. When he withdrew his foot, the man's arm had been dislocated. Xiao Han looked at Chu Xiang and asked, "Are you okay?" Chu Xiang shook her head. "No, why are you here? I want to pick you up. Let's go." Xiao Han called Pa Wang and asked him to deal with it. When the man cursed, he kicked him again. Then he held Chu Xiang's hand and left the bar. Chu Xiang smiled and teased him. "President Xiao is very handsome. That posture just now was obviously practiced," Xiao Han pointed out. "Then do you want to go back with me to learn self-defense skills? You always attract so many crazy bees. You have to learn more to be safe." Chu Xiang winked at him ambiguously and smiled. "Sure, CEO Xiao, teach me a few more moves. I'm a good student, and I might even be able to draw inferences and teach CEO Xiao a few more moves." Xiao Han's body heated up. He pulled her into the car and raised the partition. In the back seat of the car, they could occasionally hear Xiao Han's low and hoarse voice asking, "Have you learned it?" And Chu Xiang's reply was not to be outdone. "I will teach you again." This time, the driver drove round and round the city, and no one asked him to stop. Chu Xiang learned a set of self-defense skills and taught the teacher some new tricks. From the neon lights outside the car window to Xiao Han's house overlooking the city, she and Xiao Han thoroughly experienced the beauty of the city. Fang Qing called Chu Xiang, but did not get through. She thought that her daughter did not come home for the second time, and could not help but call Chu Dongqi overseas. She said worriedly, "Is Xiang Xiang really keeping a sugar baby?" Chapter 24. On the second day of work, Fang Qing specially found an excuse to go to Chu Xiang's office a few times. She found that she was glowing like a delicate rose. The more she looked at her, the more she looked like she had been nourished. Her mind was filled with her daughter's fair-skinned face. Handsome boys flashed through her mind one after another, and she felt that it was strange. However, Chu Xiang seemed to be very happy. At least, she was much happier than when she was with Yi Chen. She hesitated and did not ask. After all, it was her daughter's private matter. She should have some private space at this age. Fang Qing only complained to Chu Dongqi behind his back. This boy was quite good at coaxing Chu Xiang. She just did not know what his character was like. She really wanted to find a chance to meet him. Chu Xiang had won a project on her own, and her prestige in the company had increased. Not long after she signed the contract with the bidder, the government announced the latest policy. This project immediately became a super big project that the country and foreign investors would invest in. The profits had at least tripled. As soon as this news came out, everyone in the Dongfang group changed their opinion of Chu Xiang. Back then, when Fang Qing appointed Chu Xiang as the project manager, everyone thought that she was letting Chu Xiang accompany her to practice. Now that they thought about how serious Chu Xiang was in preparing for the project, no matter how they thought about it, they felt that Chu Xiang was aiming for success from the beginning. However, she really succeeded. This was unbelievable. A rich young lady, who had only been in contact with the company for a few months, had done such a beautiful job. She was definitely a business genius. The employees of Chu Xiang's project team had all been asked about Chu Xiang. These employees were naturally elites to be chosen by Chu Xiang. When they were faced with questions, their answers were that Chu Xiang was a talent. When they first formed the project, Chu Xiang would still ask them questions that she did not understand. By the time the bidding was over, they had nothing to teach Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang's learning ability could be said to be abnormal. It was not something that ordinary people could compare with. Chu Dongqi returned from overseas and went to the club with the company's top management to celebrate Chu Xiang's return. They even invited Xiao Han, the best collaborator. Chu Dongqi raised his glass to toast Xiao Han. He smiled and said, This project is all thanks to President Zhao's help. You have taught Chu Xiang a lot. Without President Zhao's support, Chu Xiang would not have achieved such results. Let me propose a toast to Mr. Xiao. I hope that we can continue to cooperate in the future and become the closest of partners. Xiao Han immediately stood up, bent over slightly, and clinked glasses with Chu Xiang. He said humbly, "Chairman Chu is too polite." It's because Chu Xiang's business talent is very high and her ability is outstanding that she was able to win this project. I believe that even without my participation, Chu Xiang will succeed. She is the best person I have ever met. Chu Dongqi felt strange. Everyone was in charge of the company. It was just a drink. Why did Xiao Han stand up? This posture was completely the posture of a junior. Did Xiao Han respect him so much? Moreover, Xiao Han was too polite. Such a business genius praised Chu Xiang without reservation. It seemed that he really appreciated Chu Xiang. Chu Dongqi held this party for Chu Xiang tonight. Xiao Han gave him face, so he was very happy. He clinked glasses with Xiao Han and drank. How could the others not notice that the two big bosses were praising Chu Xiang? For a time the table was lively. Everyone could find Chu Xiang's merits to praise. Chu Xiang smiled at everyone in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Occasionally, she would look at Xiao Han and exchange signals that only the two of them could understand. After a few glasses, Chu Dongqi was gratified and said, "I'm old. I'm really happy to see my daughter's achievements today. In the future, Fang Qing's and my business will be handed over to Chu Xiang. Everyone here is her uncles. You must help me guide her and teach her more. I also want her to take over as soon as possible, so that she can enjoy her retirement leisurely." Chairman Chu is still young. Why are you thinking about retirement? Yes, Chairman Chu. You and Chairman Fang are our guiding lights. We still want to work hard with you. Chu Dongqi smiled and waved his hand. Young people work hard. But of course, we have to wait until Chu Xiang has enough ability to take over. We have to give young people more opportunities to grow. This time, Chu Xiang did very well. I've decided to appoint her as the project manager. What do you think? Chu Xiang had been Fang Qing's assistant before. Although she was in charge of the project, she was not given a suitable position because she could not convince the public. The employees of the project team felt that it was strange to call her assistant Chu in the project, so they all called her Sister Chu. It was not until she had made some achievements that Chu Dongqi brought up this matter. Of course, no one had any objections. Chu Xiang had already proven her strength. It was the most suitable for her to be the project manager. Not only could she coordinate all the projects in the company, but she could also expand her connections and bring greater benefits to the company. They already had a sense of trust in Chu Xiang. They believed that she would definitely be able to succeed in this position. Xiao Han took the lead to toast Chu Xiang. Manager Chu's future is limitless. I hope that we can continue to cooperate perfectly. Chu Xiang smiled slightly. When she clinked glasses with him, she also touched his fingertips. I still have a lot to learn from CEO Xiao. I hope that CEO Xiao will not be stingy with your guidance in the future. Everyone raised their glasses and drank the wine together. After that, Xiao Han had a smile on his face. He was the happiest person when Chu Xiang was promoted to manager. When Chu Xiang could take over the Dongfang group, he would no longer have to sleep alone. There were accommodation rooms in the club. Special assistant Liang had already booked them. After everyone was a little drunk, they played for a while and returned to their rooms at 1 o'clock in the morning. Xiao Han sneaked into Chu Xiang's room when no one was paying attention. Chu Xiang pressed him against the door and asked in his arms, "CEO Xiao, are you here to teach me self-defense again?" Xiao Han slowly untied his tie and approached her. "I'm here to discuss the binding technique with you." Chu Xiang pulled off his tie and wrapped it around her hand. She bit his Adam's apple and chuckled. CEO Xiao is so eager to learn. I'll definitely teach you well. Knock, knock, knock. Xiang, Xiang. Have a cup of hangover tea before you sleep. Xiao Han froze. Chu Xiang blinked and asked softly, "Do you want to see my mother?" Xiao Han looked down at himself. His shirt was wrinkled and completely disheveled. How could he see his future mother-in-law? If they were to meet again, it should be a visit. He couldn't look so strange. He shook his head, pointed to the bathroom next to him, and hid inside. Chu Xiang tidied her hair and opened the door. She smiled and said, "Mom, I'm not drunk. You can give it to Dad." Fang Qing stuffed the hangover tea into her hand and said, "Drink some. Otherwise you'll have a headache." Before she finished speaking, she saw that Chu Xiang's lipstick was a little smudged. She looked completely as if she had just had a passionate kiss. She widened her eyes in surprise and blurted out, Xiang, you even brought that pretty boy with you when you came here?" Chu Xiang was stunned. "What gigolo?" In the bathroom, Xiaohan immediately sobered up. He leaned against the door and listened carefully to their conversation. Fang Qing made a slip of the tongue. She patted her mouth and said, "No, I thought you didn't want to date before? You like gigolos? I saw that you've been so happy recently. You've been so busy with work that you haven't been dating. So I guess that you really have a gigolo." She pointed to the room and whispered, "Is he in there? You came with so many uncles from the company today. Why did you bring someone?" Chu Xiang didn't expect to be so successful in brainwashing her mother. She had long forgotten about the gigolo. She glanced at the quiet bathroom and held back her laughter. "Yes, there is a gigolo. He's very handsome, charming, and likable." Oh, then okay. I'll go back first." Fang Qing was a little confused. Her daughter was so magnanimous that she didn't know what to say. She thought for a moment and added, Be careful." "I know, Mom. Good night, Mom." Chu Xiang smiled as she watched her leave. She had just closed the door when Xiaohan hugged her tightly. "Gigolo?" Xiaohan bit her ear as if to punish her. Chu Xiang held the hangover tea in her mouth and turned to feed him. She whispered on his lips, "What? Are you jealous?" Xiaohan narrowed his eyes and asked dangerously, "Who's the gigolo? You have someone else?" Chu Xiang touched his handsome face and chuckled. She pointed out, "You're very fair. You're indeed the gigolo in my heart. You've mesmerized me." The word "in your heart" successfully made Xiaohan happy. He picked her up by the waist and walked into the bedroom. "We haven't finished discussing the binding technique just now. Manager Chu seems to have a lot of experience in binding. Can you teach me?" "Sure. I promise you won't be able to break free no matter how hard you struggle. Then don't destroy me too much. I still have to meet with the directors tomorrow morning." "President Xiao, you've learned how to joke? But I like to destroy flowers the most. If you can't, I can look at other gigolos. You can try." Xiaohan kicked the bedroom door and put Chu Xiang on the bed. The room was filled with laughter from time to time. Fang Qing and Chu Dongqi, who lived next door, were still worried about their daughter's gigolo. Early in the morning, Fang Qing and Chu Dongqi took turns finding excuses to go out and see who would come out of the room next door. When it was almost 7 o'clock, the waiter delivered 2 sets of clothes. Fang Qing pretended to take a casual glance at the door. She left the door ajar and went back into the room to whisper to Chu Dongqi, "The men's clothes are a suit. The whole set is more expensive than yours. It seems that Xiang really likes him." Chu Dongqi was puzzled. Who would wear such a suit? "Did you make a mistake?" "That's true. But Xiang said that he's a gigolo. He's quite handsome and charming. He's very likable. Isn't that what's popular now, a cute dog?" What dog?" At this moment, Chu Xiang's door opened. Xiaohan walked out and talked to Chu Xiang. Fang Qing and Chu Dongqi hurried to the door. They wanted to take a peek, but they were dumbfounded. "President Xiao." Chu Dongqi opened the door in surprise and bumped into Xiaohan. Xiaohan was stunned for a moment, but he quickly reacted and greeted them calmly. "Uncle, Auntie, good morning." Chu Dongqi and Fang Qing looked at each other. They couldn't understand this change. How did the gigolo become Xiaohan? They looked at Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang held Xiaohan's arm and smiled. "Since we bumped into each other, why don't we have breakfast together?" Chu Dongqi said, Let's change." He closed the door and asked Fang Qing, "Is this your gigolo?" Fang Qing was confused. Could this be a wolf dog? Chapter 25. Since Xiaohan was caught cheating at the door, he unlocked a new position of love. Every time he went to Dongfang to have dinner with Chu Xiang, He tried his best to take Chu Xiang out for a date. However, Chu Xiang was a real workaholic. Mr. Xiao had been working hard, but he had never succeeded. He turned to help manager Chu to improve his strength and achievements. Legendary things always spread from 1 to 10 and 10 to 100. Chu Xiang became famous after one battle. Everyone in the business circle knew her. Many people knew that the Chu family was not interested in this project at first. It was purely because Yi Chen angered Chu Xiang. And Chu Xiang said that she would take away the project of the Yi family. That was why they participated in the bidding. Although the big shots knew that the Chu family and the Xiao family must have seen the benefits behind the project, there was still a legendary blessing in this matter. They had been eating this project for 3 years. A group of companies was very envious of the Chu family and the Xiao family. When they mentioned the Yi family, they naturally sympathized with them and ridiculed them. The Yi family lost its business partner, the Chu family, and its vitality was greatly damaged. If they could take this project, they could go to a higher level and catch up with the Chu family. However, because of the trouble caused by their son, the Chu family intercepted the project and directly became the laughingstock of the business circle. If Chu Xiang's bid could be called a legendary case, then the Yi family's defeat would definitely be listed as a classic failure case. In the future, when teachers of relevant majors taught students in classes, they would mention Chu Xiang's beautiful battle, and at the same time, they would mention the failure of the Yi family. Yi Zhenhong and Sun Jie were now unwilling to participate in social activities. It was too embarrassing to be slapped in the face by a junior. Yi Chen had completely become the representative of a rich man's son. He ate, drank, and played. He didn't do his job and only pretended to be cool. He had been in the company for so long, but he didn't understand anything. He couldn't even deal with his personal feelings. He also caused trouble for the family and couldn't clean up the mess. Whoever got involved with this kind of prodigal son would be unlucky. The Zhang family, who originally wanted to marry the Yi family, had already backed out. The Yi family could only settle for the second best, and contacted a new rich family from another place. The other party was full of potential and needed the Yi family's local strength to gain a firm foothold and develop quickly. The Yi clan also wanted to rely on the other party's spirit to help their own clan recover. Both sides hit it off immediately, which allowed Yi Chen's marriage alliance to continue. However, Yi Chen was extremely conflicted. When he went to meet the woman, he didn't look happy. Yi Zhenhong specially warned him that if he screwed up this matter, he would tell him to get out of Ye's house. He hadn't had the chance to prove himself, so he wasn't willing to leave just like that. He could only obediently go to the blind date, but he had a sour face the entire time. He had never been nice to people he didn't like. Bai Xuewei found out about this from a WeChat group. In the past, she was added to the group because of Chu Xiang and Yi Chen. Later on, she kept quiet and no one thought of kicking her out. So she used this group as a source of information. When she found out that Yi Chen was going on a blind date, she really panicked. This was different from Chu Xiang. This kind of blind date, which was aimed directly at marriage, was likely to be a marriage without considering feelings. Then what was the point of her torment for so long? If she lacked a mistress, any of the rich second generations she knew would do. Why would she still need to cling on to Yi Chen? Bai Xuewei couldn't sit still. At Yi Chen's blind date, she deliberately asked a girl whose family background was much worse than the Chu clans, but who used to hang out with them, to borrow money from that girl. Their seats weren't far from Yi Chen's, so Yi Chen heard all the girls mocking words about Bai Xuewei. Don't you think you deserve it? What good will come of being a mistress? You even snatched Chu Xiang's fiancé. You've been living off Chu Xiang for so many years. You're really shameless. As for the money, I won't lend it to you. Why don't you go to your gold sponsor Yi? I heard that you didn't get a single cent from him. How pitiful. Do you want me to introduce you to a generous sponsor? Bai Xuewei choked and said, You don't know the inside story at all. What right do you have to treat me this way? I know I've let Chu Xiang down, but I really like Yi Chen. I don't need a sponsor. Hey, who are you showing your grievances to? Your man isn't here. Yi Chen was furious when he heard this. He had been suppressing his anger and had nowhere to vent it. Back then, he was the one who took the initiative to pursue Bai Xuewei. Now this girl was insulting Bai Shuai. Wasn't she insulting him? Moreover, she was mocking him for being stingy and not giving Bai Shuai money. Yi Chen exploded on the spot. He shielded Bai Shuai behind him and scolded the girl fiercely. Bai Shuai was also his childhood sweetheart and his first woman. How could he let others bully her like this? The girl was very angry, but she didn't dare to go against the Yi family. She splashed Bai Shuai with coffee and turned around to leave. Yi Chen pulled Bai Shuai aside and asked if she was scalded. The girl who had been watching from the side for a long time was unhappy and said, "If you want to hire a nanny after marriage, I don't have any objections. But isn't it inappropriate for you to be so brazen now? Where are you putting me?" These words poked Yi Chen's lung. She didn't have any objections after marriage? Wasn't that the same as his parents? Did this woman also want to hire a gigolo after marriage? Yi Chen said angrily, "We're just meeting. It's not a big deal, right? You're meddling too much." The girl was so angry that she laughed. "Fine, I'm being nosy. Do you really think I'm interested in you? If you dare to marry your nanny, I'll still respect you as a man." The girl picked up her bag and left. Although her family was a nouveau riche, they could cooperate with other families. It didn't have to be the Yi family. They weren't afraid of a declining business like the Yi family, so they naturally didn't have to tolerate it. Bai Shuai didn't care about her sorry state and hurriedly comforted Yi Chen. "Ah Chun, don't be angry. Was that your girlfriend just now? I'm sorry, I caused trouble for you again. I'll help you explain it to her. Don't worry about her." "What girlfriend? My mother arranged it for me. Let's go. I'll take you to buy some clothes." Yi Chen heaved a sigh of relief deep down. He didn't want to go on blind dates. Now that it was ruined, it was exactly what he wanted. Therefore, he was much more amiable towards Bai Shuai. After he didn't have any hope with Chu Xiang, he didn't have any hostility towards Bai Shuai when he saw her. He even felt that they were in the same boat. Bai Shuai always knew what Yi Chen liked about her. She went shopping and had a meal with Yi Chen. She gently comforted Yi Chen's irritable heart. In the end, she successfully got Yi Chen drunk and lured him to the hotel. This kind of thing happened again. Yi Chen was comforted by her. He had to face pressure to go home, or go to other places. Naturally, he got back together with her. Sun Jie almost exploded with anger when she found out that Bai Shuai had ruined the blind date. This time, she didn't show any mercy and directly bribed someone to cheat Bai Ling. Bai Ling had lost all of her savings over the years, and owed a huge debt to loan sharks. The debt collectors had splashed paint on her door, and even threatened Bai Ling and Bai Shuai. It was as if they wanted to force them out of this place. Feng Qing had asked someone to keep an eye on Bai Ling and her daughter a long time ago. Later, she forgot about it. When she heard the news, she was stunned. When she was chatting with Chu Xiang, she casually said, "I thought they wanted to climb up the social ladder. I didn't expect their lives to be like this." Chu Xiang said thoughtfully, "Bai Ling and Bai Shuai don't look like such stupid people. I don't think it's that simple." Feng Qing couldn't be bothered to pay attention to her. "Who cares about them? I've already asked someone to stop watching them. They can do whatever they want." Chu Xiang agreed and secretly hired a private detective to investigate. She heard from Enlon that Yi Chen's blind date had been ruined by Bai Shuai by accident. This made the Yi family another joke. What a coincidence that something happened to Bai Ling at this time. She felt that there was a benefit in the modern world. If someone broke the law, they could be punished by force. It was unlike the world of the devil cultivators, where the strong were respected. However, to deal with people like Sun Jie, ordinary people wouldn't do. There were hidden rules everywhere. She happened to be in the same position as Sun Jie. It was Sun Jie's bad luck to meet someone like her who was so vengeful. The private detective quickly collected the relevant evidence. Chu Xiang suppressed it and didn't make a move. She and Xiao Han set their next goal, which was to take over the Yi group. The two of them gradually learned about the Yi group situation and secretly planned and prepared. They didn't leak any information. When the Yi group was at the critical moment to discuss cooperation with others, Chu Xiang released the news to Yi Chen and Bai Shuai, letting them know that Sun Jie had harmed Bai Ling and misled them. Sun Jie had prepared more powerful means, and informed the entertainment reporters. The Yi family was in an uproar all of a sudden. Sun Jie pointed at Bai Shuiwei's nose and scolded, slapped Yi Chen's face, and Yi Chen pulling Bai Shuiwei out of the house were all photographed. They immediately made the headlines of the major news with a shocking title. The heir of the Yi group insisted on true love, and was expelled by the family. Where should the Yi group go? The stock price of the Yi group was affected. Chu Xiang and Xiao Han took advantage of this opportunity, and began to attack the Yi group with all their strength. They fired the first shot of the commercial war, and took the lead. At this time, how could any company be stupid enough to marry the Yi group? Even the partners of the Yi group began to consider terminating the cooperation. After all, it was not worth the loss to fight against the Xiao group and the Dongfang group for the sake of the Yi group. Yi Chen admitted his mistake and entered the company. He began to work hard to help Yi Jinhong. There was a reason why so many people liked him before. He made rapid progress when he was serious. Yi Jinhong also cultivated him vigorously, hoping that he could grow up as soon as possible. However, not many people in the company liked him. They all hated him for making the company like this. Not long after, the news of Bai Shuiwei's pregnancy was accidentally leaked out by the clinic, and was widely reported again. Yi Chen was beginning to wake up and start to feel responsible. At this time he found out that he had a child. Although he was at a loss, he still decided to marry Bai Shuiwei and give the child a complete family. Perhaps it was the mockery of his true love by the outside world, or the derogatory words of nanny by many people, or the pressure his parents put on him, or even the self-confidence he lost with Chu Xiang. In the end, all these stimulated the rebellious nature in Yi Chen's bones. The more people looked down on him and Bai Shuiwei, the more he wanted to live a happy life for everyone to see. The child was an opportunity. It gave him endless courage to tell his family that he must marry Bai Shuiwei. At night, Xiao Han hugged Chu Xiang from behind and asked, "Why do you care so much about Yi Chen?" Chu Xiang rubbed his face and said with a smile, "Are you a vinegar jar? Do you want to be jealous of old times? I just suddenly realized that Yi Chen has a smart side. During this period of time, he has done a good job in the Yi group. However, he was emotional and fell into Bai Shuiwei's trap. Of course, I have to seize every opportunity to attack him and not give him room to grow. Do you know? When I asked the private investigator to keep an eye on the Yi family, I found a secret. This secret is enough to shake the Yi family." Chapter 26. Yi Chen's persistence worked. Yi Jinhong scolded Yi Chen, said that he would not recognize him as his son, and drove him out of the villa. Sun Jie couldn't control it. She simply stopped all his cards and wanted to force him to go home. Yi Chen was very determined. He moved into his apartment with Bai Shuiwei and got the marriage certificate quietly. Bai Shuiwei was very happy. Although there was no wedding and no elder recognition, she was now the real young lady of the Yi family. What was the use of Yi Jinhong and Sun Jie not recognizing it? The law recognized it. Even if she divorced now, the Yi family would give her a lot of property. What's more, she had the grandson of the Yi family in her belly. She was very confident that when the child was born, she would be able to enter the Yi family step by step. The marriage certificate was so reassuring. Bai Shuiwei relaxed completely and was happy every time. Yi Chen liked it and believed that he was not wrong. Chu Xiang deliberately waited for Bai Shuiwei to get married. When Bai Shuiwei got the marriage certificate and had a hard month with Yi Chen because they had no money, she exposed the secret of the Yi family. Yi Jinhong's illegitimate son was 18 years old. Xiao Han couldn't help sighing when he saw the news. "You are really bad." Chu Xiang curled her lips into a smile. "Who asked them to make me unhappy? In the past, I was a princess in the ivory tower and couldn't do anything. Now they can only pray for themselves." The Yi family was on the cover of major magazines. Suddenly, the Yi family had a legal heir. Would Yi Jinhong pass the Yi family to Yi Chen? Yi Chen had been driven out of the house. Was Yi Jinhong clearing the obstacles for his son? Yi Chen was shocked. He rushed back to the Yi family to ask. He happened to see Sun Jie hit Yi Jinhong and finally fainted in the hospital. Yi Jinhong's face was also scratched with 2 blood marks. He had never seen such a crazy mother or such a cold-blooded father. When Sun Jie was admitted to the hospital, Yi Jinhong didn't even look at her. Sun Jie also cursed Yi Jinhong in the hospital. His parents turning against each other was a huge blow to Yi Chun. Having a half-brother who was only 2 years older than him caused him even more pain and embarrassment. At the same time, a huge sense of danger descended upon him. He found the younger brother and had a furious fight with him, sending him to the hospital. Chu Xiang decided to be a good citizen and anonymously called the police for her brother. The incident was big again. Yi Jinhong went to the police station to get people out in person, but the mother of his illegitimate child took advantage of the situation. Since his son's matter had been made public, what else was he waiting for but to seize the family property? Only when the family is in harmony can everything prosper. When the family is in chaos, it is the beginning of squandering. Chu Xiang added fuel to the fire one after another. At the same time, she continued to absorb Yi Group's shares and joined forces with Xiao Han to snatch Yi Group's projects one after another. Yi Jinhong was in a terrible state. The company's shareholders were blaming him, and his family was in a mess. He was rational enough not to acknowledge the illegitimate child, but who could ignore such a big person? Even the Yi Group shareholders had their own ideas. The continuous sniping battles had greatly damaged Yi Group's vitality. Xiao Han had contributed the most. He was more attentive than Chu Dongqi and Fang Qing. The 2 elders wanted to vent their anger for their daughter, but they couldn't find a chance. They often scolded him behind his back as Stinky Boy. Although Yi Chun worked hard, he couldn't keep up with the company's business war at all. The Yi family had been disbanded, and the fight between Sun Jie and his mistress had caused him a lot of trouble. Chu Xiang sent the evidence of Sun Jie's harming of Bai Ling to Yi Jinhong's mistress. The mistress was also ruthless. She directly bribed all the major media to report the incident together. Mrs. Ye's crimes were known to all. Although it didn't constitute a big crime, the Yi family's shares fell again. Yi Jinhong was furious, but he was alone and helpless. He was beaten without any power to fight back. In less than a year, Yi Group fell apart under the sniping of Chu Xiang and Xiao Han. Chu Xiang had already owned most of Yi Group's shares. She successfully acquired Yi Group and merged it into a branch of the Dongfang Group. Since then, Yi Group had disappeared from the business world. Chu Xiang became famous again. The business world called her the iron-blooded devil. Some people saw some clues from the process of the Yi family's decline. They guessed that Chu Xiang had intervened in a lot of things. While lamenting her ruthless means, they taught this commercial sniping as a textbook case to their children. Chu Xiang's growth in the past year was amazing. Everyone who had been in contact with her could feel the terrible control in her bones. She could strategize everything. She was talking and laughing, but no one could see what she was thinking. Even the old foxes in the business world didn't dare to look down on her, for fear that they would be cheated by her in the next second. Chu Xiang was now as famous as Xiao Han in the business world. She had become a regular on the cover of magazines. The Yi family went bankrupt and lost everything. Yi Jinhong and Sun Jie divorced, but his mistress and illegitimate child ran away with his money. Yi Chen's child was not saved. When Bai Shuowei divorced him, she told him that she had deliberately miscarried because the Yi family had been declining for a long time. She didn't want to give birth to a child for him. Yi Chen then knew why Bai Shuowei bought jewelry for Bai Ling whenever she had the chance. Sometimes, she even gave Bai Ling money as filial piety. It turned out that it was all to make more money. He couldn't believe it. He had decided to be a responsible father and husband, but Bai Shuowei gave him a head-on blow. When Yi Chen questioned Bai Shuowei showed her true colors for the first time. She sneered. "Do you think I really like you? You're arrogant and pretentious. You can't even see what you want. But if you weren't so emotional, I wouldn't have been able to take advantage of your shortcomings to make you marry me. But what are you now? You're worse than me. If I want to marry a poor man, why should I choose you?" Yi Chen couldn't accept this result. "You've been acting for so many years? You've been doing it for my money all this time? Why else do you think? Do you think someone as stupid as Chu Xiang really like you? Oh, she's not stupid anymore. She even made the Yi family go bankrupt. Bai Shuiwei gnashed her teeth at the mention of Chu Xiang. She glared at Yi Chun and said, "You'd better agree to the divorce. Otherwise, I'll apply for separation and divorce you all the same. Since I've coaxed you for so many years, don't pester me anymore." Yi Chun vaguely remembered that he had asked Chu Xiang not to pester him for Bai Shuiwei. Later, he had asked Bai Shuiwei not to pester him for the sake of getting Chu Xiang back. Now that he was the one being treated like this, he finally understood how terrible it was. He thought that his parents, who had a strong relationship with him, had turned against each other. He thought that Chu Xiang, who had loved him for more than 10 years, had ruined his company. He thought that the infatuated Bai Shuiwei was doing it for his money. He thought that he was really capable, but he had achieved nothing. Yi Chen's entire world had collapsed. It was as if everything was fake. Everything was different from what he knew. He divorced Bai Shuiwei and was unable to recover from the setback. He regretted it countless times when he dreamed about it. If he hadn't cheated on Bai Shuiwei and treated Chu Xiang wholeheartedly, would he have been able to live a happy life? The life he wanted the most was ruined by him. After leaving Chu Xiang, he had turned his life into a joke. After Bai Shuiwei left Yi Chun, she wanted to find another rich second-generation heir in the circle. However, she wasn't a stunning beauty. Everyone knew that Chu Xiang hated her. Who would want to mess with Chu Xiang for no reason? The consequences of messing with Chu Xiang were obvious. Bai Shuiwei wanted to go to another city to develop her career. When she mentioned it to Bai Ling, she was shocked to find that Bai Ling had lost all the money she had given her. Although Sun Jie had stopped, Bai Ling was already addicted to it. The money that Bai Shuiwei had worked so hard to transfer out was lost completely. Bai Ling still owed a lot. Bai Shuiwei didn't go to Li Sheng Group for an internship because she wanted to take care of her pregnancy. Now, she didn't even have the chance to go to a big company. She had to repeat the year after taking a break from school. She was still hated by everyone in school. No rich second-generation heirs in the circle cared about her. Her future was dark. She had to work in a bar to pay back her debts. Bai Ling was strictly watched by her. She wasn't allowed to touch money. She worked part-time for others. Bai Ling, on the other hand, hung around bars and nightclubs. She became a vulgar social butterfly. Bai Ling couldn't help but cry. She couldn't help but complain. "I lived in a big villa in the Chu family. I didn't have to do any work. I enjoyed life just like Madam. You just had to snatch Yi Chen away. Now that you're in this state, you're forcing me to work. Why did I give birth to you in the first place? I should have strangled you to death back then." Bai Shuiwei sneered. "You're blaming me? Didn't you know that Yi Chen was very happy when he broke off the engagement because of me? Why didn't you say these things back then? Let me tell you, I'm in this state because of you. If you hadn't lost all the money, I would be living a very good life. If you continue to be so long-winded, don't blame me for disowning you." Bai Shuiwei was often taken advantage of by balding men with big bellies. She was very angry and vented her anger on Bai Ling when she got home. Bai Ling also blamed her in her heart. The two of them blamed each other, and became more and more narrow-minded and gloomy. Bai Shuiwei saw on TV that Chu Xiang had been invited to an interview by a business program. Chu Xiang was wearing a red dress. Her black hair hung in front of her chest. It was a very simple outfit, but she didn't have the aura of a rich young lady or a pure student. She exuded the charm of a queen in the workplace. She saw Chu Xiang talking to the host with a smile. She was mature, confident, elegant, and generous. When the host mentioned Chu Xiang and Xiaohan's relationship, the screen even gave Xiaohan a shot. He sat below the stage and looked at Chu Xiang. He was as cold as ever, but everyone could see the gentleness in his eyes. Such a legendary figure gave all his gentleness to Chu Xiang. Which woman wouldn't want such a man? Bai Shuiwei was so jealous that her heart ached. She always remembered that time when Chu Xiang scored 80 points and she scored 100 points, but Chu Xiang still received beautiful gifts. Bai Ling didn't praise her at all. She was better than Chu Xiang. She had played Chu Xiang for so many years. She enjoyed the spoils of war proudly. Why did everything suddenly change? Now Chu Xiang was more superior than before, while she was at the bottom of society. Chu Xiang had the gentle and strong President Xiao to protect her. She could only be taken advantage of by those fat pigs. The more painful it was, the more unwilling it was. The more unwilling it was, the more painful it was. The pain of not being able to win over Chu Xiang would torment her for the rest of her life. She would never be able to walk out of the shadow of Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang didn't stop, because she had taken over the Yi group. She turned her attention to the overseas market and participated in the overseas project with Chu Dongqi. Xiao Han volunteered to accompany Chu Xiang on a business trip for Chu Dongqi. When they were abroad, Chu Dongqi and Fang Qing didn't compete with him. His presence by Chu Xiang's side increased day by day. Since he knew about Chu Xiang's words about love, he paid special attention to the issue of keeping it fresh. He could always come up with new tricks to make Chu Xiang happy. Therefore, he stayed by Chu Xiang's side and didn't give any opportunity to any gigolo to take advantage of him. Chu Dongqi and Fang Qing were numb to Xiao Han's frequent appearance. They found that their daughter learned things faster with Xiao Han. They didn't know how Xiao Han taught her. Anyway, all his experience and methods were taken away by Chu Xiang. Moreover, Xiao Han was more efficient when he accompanied Chu Xiang to discuss projects. The two of them had cooperated well, and their achievements were getting better and better. The Xiao group didn't delay anything because of his love affairs. On the contrary, because Chu Xiang was a workaholic, he worked overtime more, and the Xiao group developed faster. Everyone was very optimistic about their couple. It was predicted that in the future, when they worked together, they would definitely push the two companies to the top. Chu Dongqi and Fang Qing retired at the same time when Chu Xiang graduated from university, and handed the Dongfang group to Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang didn't lose the title of the female devil of the business world. She was a legend in the business world for the rest of her life. President Xiao proposed several times. Finally, when Chu Xiang was 35 years old, he succeeded in proposing and abducted her to a private group for a week. Chu Dongqi and Fang Qing, who were asked to take care of the company, whispered behind their backs. This was a scheming wolf dog who took away their white rabbit. When they proposed to cooperate with the Xiao group, they had invited the wolf into the house. Xiao Han was in a good mood with the marriage certificate. In the future, he was no longer afraid of the white face stealing his wife. He had a certificate. When he held Chu Xiang and looked at the sea, he asked her, "I've proposed so many times. Why did you agree this time?" Chu Xiang closed her eyes and leaned in his arms to feel the sea breeze. She smiled and said, "Because you're charming. You're still so interesting after 15 years. Isn't it good to be with you? Anyway, a few decades will pass in the blink of an eye." Xiao Han's heart was alarmed. What if he became bored after 2 years? Would she go back on her word? In the next few decades, he would keep it fresh so that this woman wouldn't look at others for the rest of her life. Chu Xiang thought that she would leave in a few decades. She opened her eyes and said, "We've had enough fun. Let's go back in the afternoon. There's a new cooperation to discuss." Oh! Xiao Han suddenly felt that he didn't like work so much. He had a fear of being dominated by work for the rest of his life. His wife loved work too much. How could he transfer his wife's passion to him? President Xiao had been thinking about this problem his entire life. Fortunately, he occupied half of the day and night. In this half, he could enjoy the unique passion of the queen. In fact, he was very happy. Chapter 27. When Chu Xiang transmigrated to the New World, the original owner swallowed a bottle of sleeping pills to commit suicide. Although she didn't wake up in the hospital this time, she was still sent to the hospital after waking up. A lawyer stood in front of Chu Xiang's bed and handed her a divorce agreement. He said coldly, "Sister Chu, I am the lawyer representing Mr. Lin. He hopes that you will sign this agreement and stop pestering him. Otherwise, it won't be good for you. Please don't do anything excessive and make unnecessary news. Old Madam Lin is very dissatisfied with this matter." Chu Xiang's stomach was uncomfortable, so she was in a bad mood. She looked at him coldly and said, "I don't need you to teach me how to do things. Get out." The lawyer didn't move. "Sister Chu, Call the security to deal with the people in my ward. Chu Xiang directly pressed the bell to call the nurse. She closed her eyes and concentrated on gathering spiritual energy. She didn't pay attention to the lawyer whose face changed. The lawyer was a respectable person. Of course, he couldn't wait for the security to chase him away. He put down the divorce agreement and took the initiative to leave. But before he left, he still said, I hope Sister Chu will seriously consider it. If you really annoy Mr. Lin, Sister Chu won't be able to bear it. What Mr. Lin and old Madam Lin were no different from ants in Chu Xiang's consciousness. But now this body was hers. They made her uncomfortable. She still remembered it. The spiritual energy in this world was still thin. She couldn't cultivate. Of course, she couldn't use her cultivation method. She could only absorb a little spiritual energy to nourish her stomach and make herself feel better. Spiritual energy was still more effective than medicine. Soon her brows relaxed. She was in the mood to understand the original owner's memory. The original owner was also called Chu Xiang. Her appearance was very beautiful, and she looked a little like Chu Xiang. This coincidence was purely because the soul was easier to fuse with, and it made Chu Xiang feel quite comfortable. The original owner was a top idol star. She was young and beautiful. She sang and danced and attracted countless fans. Although her acting skills were a bit bad, people could see that she was improving after filming a few TV series. She had a great future. When the original owner was at her peak, she couldn't resist the passionate pursuit of Lin Jiawei. They fell in love and got married quickly. As soon as the news of her marriage came out, the original host lost a large number of fans. All kinds of people suspected that she was a gold digger, that she was living up to the rich, and scolded her for failing to live up to everyone's expectations of her. Although the original owner was shocked, she knew that this was the consequence she had to bear. However, right after that, Lin Jiawei's grandmother, old Madam Lin, asked her to leave the entertainment industry. She thought that she was a mess in the big dye vat and was not presentable. The original owner tried her best to resist, but because she loved Lin Jiawei too much and Lin Jiawei was raised by her grandmother, she finally chose to compromise and quickly faded from everyone's sight. After all, she used to be a top celebrity. Even after she quit, the media still paid attention to her, and she was often photographed and reported on. When she smiled, people would sell her smile to please the rich. When she was expressionless, she would be scolded by the rich for having no dignity. Just because an actress like her had married into a wealthy family, in the eyes of many people, she was a lowly wretch with no dignity. Many people's guesses turned out to be true, which made the original owner even more unhappy. Old Madam roused strict disdain, husband roused incessant urging, servant roused disapproval, etc. She endured all of this because of Lin Jiawei's love for her. But she never thought that after a year of marriage, Lin Jiawei's white moonlight would come back from abroad. The original owner finally knew that Lin Jiawei pursued her, married her, and doted on her, because she looked 70% similar to his white moonlight. His true feelings were treated as a substitute. Lin Jiawei and his white moonlight rekindled their old feelings, and immediately changed his attitude towards the original owner. It was like he wanted to completely erase this stain, so that his true lover wouldn't be jealous. The original owner was an orphan and had no relatives. She was slightly depressed after staying in the Lin family for a year. She was even alienated from her friends, because of old Madam Lin. Now that she didn't have Lin Jiawei's love, she had nothing left. She hated Lin Jiawei for lying to her, and hated herself for foolishly abandoning herself. She could already foresee what was waiting for her. She couldn't accept this result, and swallowed a large bottle of sleeping pills to commit suicide. Chu Xiang digested the memories while seriously nourishing her stomach with Reiki. The original owner felt that living in this world was too painful. She would rather lose all her memories and reincarnate. She didn't have any wishes, but she had a lot of regrets about the past. Chu Xianglai couldn't understand why she would commit suicide because of these entanglements of love. If it was her, she would definitely find someone who would pamper her. How dare he play with her like Lin Jiawei? Ha, kill him. Chu Xiang picked up the divorce agreement on the cabinet. This marriage must be divorced. How could a scumbag like that be worthy of being her husband? She quickly looked through the contents of the agreement. Before they got married, old Madam Lin insisted on notarizing their assets. So scumbag Lin asked her to leave with nothing because he was afraid that his white moonlight would be unhappy. He wanted to prove that he was heartless towards the substitute. This was really even worse than the one she met in the previous world. But this was exactly what Chu Xiang wanted. If she wanted to break it off, she would do it cleanly. Would she lack money? She straightforwardly signed the divorce agreement, and then lay down again to think about what she should do in this world. In her previous life, it was her first time seeing the modern world. She was not excited at all. When she just came into contact with business, she put all her passion into conquering the Zheng family. If it wasn't for Yi Chun and the others constantly harassing her, she wouldn't even be interested in dealing with them. But as for business, she had played enough. In this life, she didn't want to be a superwoman in the business world. She wanted to do something new. She casually flipped through the original owner's phone. When she saw the original owner's yearning for the entertainment industry, she suddenly had an idea. The original owner's memories of being a star were quite interesting. Then she would go and play as a star. Chu Xiang went online to search for her name. She didn't expect to find countless messages. They were all mocking the original owner for being abandoned as a substitute. Chu Xiang had seen many brainless devil cultivators. Their thoughts were strange, and their actions were strange. They didn't even know how to follow the rules. Usually, they would quickly become cannon fodder. But she didn't expect the original owner to be so annoying. She didn't understand the original owner's identity as an idol. After searching for a while, she found out that idols couldn't fall in love. So when the original owner fell in love and got married in a flash and left the entertainment industry, it poked the lungs of all the fans. Not to mention, the original owner had a large number of anti-fans. This kind of Cinderella married into a rich family and was tortured by the rich family. Then she found out that she was abandoned as a substitute. Many keyboard warriors were excited. They were even more excited than the fans who stepped on the original owner. Maybe the real passers-by didn't say anything. Chu Xiang only saw a few comments that pitted the original owner. It really could be said that the whole internet ridiculed her. Chu Xiang didn't feel anything. She found the original owner's concert video and watched it. Just as she was watching it, she heard some noise outside the door. The door of the ward was pushed open and many people with microphones and cameras squeezed in. Chu Xiang, you really went to the hospital? Did you commit suicide? How are you now? Chu Xiang, did you divorce Lin Jiawei? Did you threaten him with death and refuse to divorce? E! Entertainment filmed your husband Lin Jiawei and other women staying at Shishan Villa overnight. What do you think? Did you divorce because Lin Jiawei cheated? Is it because you didn't have a child after a year of marriage? The nurses and security guards tried to stop them and pull them out. But these reporters were too crazy. In order to make news, they were shameless. The microphones were almost pointed at Chu Xiang's face. Chu Xiang frowned and slapped away their microphones. She said unhappily, "What does it have to do with you?" Someone with sharp eyes saw the divorce agreement on the cabinet and reached out to take it. Everyone took photos. When the security guards grabbed the agreement, they had finished reading it. A reporter was shocked. Chu Xiang, you left the marriage with nothing? You and Lin Jiawei didn't get anything from this marriage? Chu Xiang saw this and leaned on the bed with a smile. How can it be? At least I know that Lin Jiawei's character is bad. Chu Xiang, Lin Jiawei reunited with his true love. Did he divorce you in order to marry her? Then you have to ask him. Chu Xiang, have you seen that woman? Do you think you're inferior to her? Chu Xiang was puzzled. Do you admire a woman who destroys other people's families? I don't think anyone in the world would think that they're inferior to her. Otherwise, wouldn't they be inferior to even 3? Then what do you think about being reduced to a substitute? It's just an experience of being cheated. Chu Xiang, are you watching your previous concert videos? Do you intend to make a comeback? Yes, as you can see, I didn't get a share of 100 billion yuan, so I still have to come back to work. I hope you won't be so rude when the time comes. Chu Xiang picked up her phone and continued watching the video. She said to the security guard, "Ask them to leave. I won't pursue this matter. Don't let anyone enter my ward again." The security guard and nurses chased all the reporters out. Since Chu Xiang didn't pursue the matter, they didn't ask the reporters to delete the photos. The reporters all acted as if they had won the lottery. As soon as they left, they immediately rushed back to the company. On the way, they wrote the content of the report and sent it to their boss for approval. In the afternoon, the news about Chu Xiang leaving the family with nothing and preparing to make a comeback was released. There were all kinds of things on the internet. However, because Chu Xiang didn't take the Lin family's money and even said those tough words in the ward, there were actually some netizens who sympathized with her and spoke up for her. Chu Xiang deserves to leave the family with nothing. She gave up her career and married into a rich family. She didn't think that she would be kicked out of the family, did she? She's just a substitute. She did the premarital property notarization and clearly didn't covet the Lin family's money. Does it have to be so ugly? Isn't it because Lin Jiawei is too much of a scumbag? Those three aren't good people either. Chu Xiang wants to make a comeback. Is she good at singing and dancing? She's been living like a princess for a long time, right? Please don't act. It's so awkward. If she leaves the entertainment industry, she should just stay put. Why is she making money? I think her suicide is just a publicity stunt. Honestly, what did Chu Xiang do wrong? The Lin family is disgusting, right? I support Chu Xiang's comeback. I'm willing to go to Chu Xiang's concert. When old Madame Lin saw these reports, she was so angry that her face turned green. She scolded Lin Jiawei sternly. Look at the news she created. Isn't it embarrassing? Get her out of the hospital immediately and tell her to shut up. Lin Jiawei carefully looked at the signed divorce agreement in the photo and said, "Grandma, Chu Xiang signed the divorce agreement. She's no longer my wife. Don't worry. She can't do anything in the entertainment industry. She won't affect us." That you're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.